Welcome to this scheduled council meeting of the 16th of June 2026, which is being held in person in the council chamber at Civic Centre, 25 Ferris Boulevard, South Morang. This meeting is also being live streamed. I am Councillor Laurie Cox, the Mayor of the City of Whittlesea, and I'd like to introduce our councillors in attendance tonight, beginning with the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Blair Corwell, Councillor Daniel Zinni, Councillor David Lenberg, Councillor Michael Labrador, Councillor Deb Gunn, Councillor Jared Lappin, and Councillor Martin Taylor. And online I have Councillor Christine Stowe. And I've just been advised that Councillor McLinden will be joining us shortly. He's stuck in traffic. There are no formal apologies. I'd also now introduce our Acting Chief Executive Officer, Debbie Wood, and ask that Debbie introduce the members of the Executive Leadership Team.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce the Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton, our Director of Community Wellbeing, Agata Hamaliski, the Acting Director, Customer and Corporate Service, Jordan Glancy, our Acting Director, Infrastructure and Environment, Arishdeep Singh, our Executive Manager, Public Affairs, Janine Morgan, and at the table with us here is our Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO, Jacinta Stevens.
I now read the acknowledgement. On behalf of Council, I recognise the rich Aboriginal heritage of this country and acknowledge the Wurundjeri Wurrung clan and Tuggeranong people as the traditional owners of lands within the City of Whittlesea. I'd also like to personally acknowledge Elders past, present and emerging. I'll now move to the diversity and good governance, and I will read the statement. At the City of Whittlesea, we are proud of our diversity and the many cultures and faiths and beliefs that make up our community. We strive to be an inclusive, welcoming city that fosters active participation, well-being and connection to each other and this land. We commit as a council to making informed decisions to benefit the people of the City of Whittlesea now and into the future, to support our community's vision of a place for all. I will now move to the acknowledgements, and I'll begin with a congratulations to Charman Tuwiri, who was last week elected as the councillor for the Thomastown ward for the remainder of this current council term. Ms Tuwiri is currently overseas and will officially be sworn in as a councillor on Friday the 3rd of July. On behalf of the council, we will welcome Ms Tuwiri to the City of Whittlesea and look forward to working with her in this new role. Under the King's Birthday Honours List, we issue our congratulations to Judith Clements, I should say. I'm in trouble for that. Who was last week awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia for her service to the City of Whittlesea community. Judith is dedicated and a long-serving life member of the Whittlesea Agricultural Society. In her 50 years in the Society, Judith has held a number of roles, including President, Chief Steward and Member of the Executive Council. Judith has also served as a President of the Whittlesea branch of the Victorian Farmers Federation, is the Vice Chairperson of the Yan Yean Cemetery Trust and serves as a committee member at the Whittlesea Historical Society, and has received the City of Whittlesea Citizen of the Year Award in 2000 and more recently in 2023. Congratulations to Ms Clements. Refugee Week, I'll call the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. This week is Refugee Week, and on Thursday, the City of Whittlesea will be hosting a special event in recognition of this important week. This year's theme, A Million Stories, provides an opportunity for us all to celebrate and learn through the powerful lived experience of our refugee community. This event will be held at PRAC and will include a lively celebration featuring cultural performers, interactive activities and a shared moment of connection and belonging. I encourage everyone to come along and celebrate the strength and resilience of our refugee community. Thank you.
call on the Deputy Mayor to deal with the Positive Ageing Expo and World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Next week, we are hosting the Positive Ageing Expo, a free community event that will bring together more than 50 service providers, including community organisations, health professionals, advocacy groups and seniors clubs. Residents, carers and community members will be able to access resources and supports that will help older adults live well, stay independent and remain connected with the community. This event also recognises World Elder Abuse Awareness Day and aims to raise awareness about elder abuse and promotes respect, inclusion and dignity for older people. Thank you.
And lastly, the World Environment Day. I'll call on Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. So June 5th was World Environment Day, and the City of Whittlesea is celebrating by hosting some community tree planting events in July. Following the success of the 2025 planting season, with over 25,000 plants going into the ground, the City of Whittlesea is preparing to plant another 25,000 Indigenous trees and wildflowers across the Bunjalnanga Parkland and Quarry Hills this year. These planting days offer a great opportunity for our community to get involved in hands-on environmental action while enjoying a fun day out.
Thank you. There is one other acknowledgement, but I will take the opportunity to wait until Councillor McLinden's arrived. I'll deal with the declarations of conflict of interest. Councillors and officers, if you have a conflict of interest in any item on the agenda, you may verbally disclose the type and nature of the interest now, but you must also make a declaration immediately before consideration of the matter in question. Councillors, are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare?
No, Chair.
Officers, are there any items of which you have a conflict of interest to declare?
No, Chair.
Thank you. I'll now move to the confirmation of the minutes, and I seek a motion to confirm the minutes of the preceding scheduled council meeting held on the 19th of May 2026. Do I have a mover? And what are you moving? Yep. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lappin.
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Gunn. I'll now put that matter to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Public question time. Council allows up to 30 minutes for public questions, petitions or joint letters from our community. Public questions will be read out by the Acting CEO's delegate and responded to by the Acting CEO. Any questions submitted that are not in accordance with the governance rules are either declined or held over to the next scheduled council meeting. All questions and responses will be included in the minutes of the council meeting. I note we have received 4 public questions in accordance with the governance rules. There are no introductory or background statements in relation to the question to be read out. And I'll now hand over to Jacinta Stevens, the Executive Manager of Office of Council and CEO, to read the question, and Debbie Wood as the Acting CEO to provide the response.
Thank you, Chair. Our first question is from Nick Brain, and the question is, does Council plan to review its 2019 stadium strategy after completion of the 2026-27 budget process to account for post-COVID era financial conditions?
Thank you for your question, Nick. While we do not have a stadium strategy, we do have a netball and basketball plan from 2019 to 2041, which was adopted in December 2019. With regard to your comment about post-COVID era financial conditions, we are consistently reviewing our capital program. We take into consideration a range of factors, including changing community needs, market conditions, increasing construction costs, and other market players.
Our next question is from Shyam. The question is, what commitments has Council received from the Victorian Government regarding the next steps following completion of the Wollert Rail feasibility study?
Thank you for your question. Council is awaiting release of the Wollert Rail feasibility study. It continues to be an advocacy priority, and we are calling on the Victorian Government to immediately release it. You can view our advocacy prospectus and more details around what Council is asking on our website.
Our next question we have grouped together. It is from a Danielle McKenzie and Jason McKenzie. The question is, what specific actions will Council take before the 18 August meeting to actively secure that funding, including advocating to the state and federal governments for investment and exploring all available funding pathways, such as grants, partnerships and financing options, to deliver the full aquatic and leisure centre our growing community needs, including a 50-metre pool and publicly reporting on those efforts before the 18 August decision. The second part of that, which was from Jason, is can Council clarify the cost benchmarks and assumptions used in the current estimate of more than $120 million for the Mernda Aquatic Centre, including the key scope and cost drivers contributing to this estimate, and advise whether the concept design, updated costings and any stage delivery options will be made publicly available, and if so, when?
Thank you both for your questions. Council will tonight be considering this project, including a recommendation to bring a detailed report back to the 18th of August Council meeting, in light of a funding shortfall from other levels of government. It is proposed the August report will provide a more detailed assessment of project scope, cost and delivery options in the context of available external funding. With regard to your questions about cost, Council uses independent quantity surveyors to cost each project rather than rely on benchmarks. Each project is different and must be costed independently. The August report will include cost estimates and will be publicly available in the agenda to be published on Council's website ahead of the Council August meeting. In the meantime, we will continue our strong advocacy with all levels of government. We have always made it clear that this project would need a shared investment from state and federal government to proceed.
The final questions have also been grouped together. They're in relation to 1F Ashline Street, Wollert. The questions, in essence, are, could you please explain what percentage of the neighbourhood agreed to this proposal? Why were community concerns not addressed publicly earlier in the planning process? Why was the survey considered sufficient community consultation when there was only 25 in attendance and the project impacts an entire neighbourhood?
Thank everyone who put this question in. So since 2021, Council has carried out extensive community consultation in relation to the land at 1F Ashline Street in Wollert. Engagement on the project proposal included an online information session and an in-person drop-in session held on the weekend. We also had 3 focus groups and a community survey, which received over 1,000 responses. In addition, Beyond Housing carried out further engagement throughout the planning process, specifically focused on design elements. Community feedback has influenced many aspects of the project, including the criteria for selecting a community housing organisation, ensuring a high-quality home design, limiting development to 2 stories and detached townhouses or duplex style only, allocating dwellings to local residents, young families, older people, women, key workers and people with disabilities, landscaping, fencing and building finishes preferences, ensuring a community park was also included. Council is planning further communication with residents as the project progresses, including an information session coming soon.
Thank you. We'll now move on to petitions and 4.2. 4.21, Treehouse at Casey Drive, Lawler. Petition's been received from 19 residents requesting Council allow the boys to keep their treehouse outside the back fence of 92 Casey Drive. It's so much fun to get. It's so much fun get. That's the wording. I have a recommendation. So moved by Councillor Labrador. You're moving.
I'd like to move the officer recommendation as is on the screen.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Cole. Sorry. Do you wish to speak to them? Sorry, is there any, no, sorry, do you wish to speak to the motion? Sorry, councillor Labrador.
Yes, Chair, I'd like to speak. Yeah, I would just like to thank the petitioner, in particular the Drew family, for bringing this up to my attention and obviously bringing the petition to council. Look, in our current society, we have lots of kids, teenagers and adolescents who are disaffected, who are not engaging with society, who aren't, you know, getting jobs and staying in school, and are actually moving to other forms of other activities to keep them busy. And we see that with kids riding their bikes around at night. We see that with e-bikes and worse things. And obviously, you know, I don't have to comment on those worse things, but we see it all the time on the news. I think having a treehouse, you know, is an easy way to get kids engaged, for them to have fun in a safe space, you know, supervised by parents. Obviously, I understand that there's local laws and legislations around potentially having a tree house on a tree, but look, I'm in full support of this, and yeah, I hope to see some outcomes regarding the tree house staying. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, councillor. Councillor Cole, you seconder?
Yes, just some very brief comments, and I think I'll come from a really optimistic point of view, which is I'm assuming the petitioner is young people from our community, and I think it's great that they're engaging in the democratic process of putting together a petition, submitting that to council. Obviously, the recommendation is to refer the matter to the Acting Chief Executive Officer, and I'm sure the officer will come with some further information in the future. But it's great to see young people taking an active interest in their local government and participating in the democratic process. Thank you.
Is there any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor McLinden?
Thanks, Chair. I don't think we have enough tree houses in the city. The more we have, the better. Certainly brings back reminiscences and memories of when I grew up. But I think what they're trying to say in the petition was, it is fun, get. I think the word they're looking for was lost. So I'm not sure what it was, but I think they're clearly passionate. I hope we can keep their little play space, and let's have more of them.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. 4.22. Petition's been received from 66 residents requesting council install protective bollards between the car park and the outdoor cafe seating area on May Road at the Lawler Shopping Precinct. Customers of Ferguson Player Bakehouse are currently at risk of injury due to cars driving onto the footpath and into the seating area. The recent increase and near misses have made this issue more important than ever. Residents note that there is state government funding for this purpose and request the City of Whittlesea apply for these funds and commence work immediately. Do I have a mover? I'm pretty sure Councillor Labrador was going to move something.
Yes, Chair, I'd like to move the officer recommendation as is on the screen.
Thanks, Councillor. Seconder, Councillor Lenberg. Councillor Labrador, to you.
Again, I'd like to thank the petitioners and especially that small pocket of the community there at Ferguson Player. They meet there religiously and they have their coffees and they have their smokes and they bring their dogs, and you know, it makes Laylaw vibrant. I think they said near miss in the petition, but actually I think there actually was a car that came through. There was an incident there, but maybe they left that out on purpose. But in any case, yeah, it is of the utmost safety when there are cars right up against the walk path where there are lots of people drinking coffee and spending time together. I think we need to protect them, and I think it's a good thing to have some bollards up. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Lenberg as a seconder.
Thank you. I think we need to broaden this further. We've got a lot of shops on high streets, more traffic, the opportunity for cars to get up onto pavements and sidewalks. So I'd like to see some sort of investigation about how we could extend this across the municipality.
Thank you. Other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Gunn.
Yeah, I just want to bring up that recently, like only a couple of weeks ago, there was the incident of the car driving into the people drinking coffee at Watsonia. That's a particular spot I drive past each week on my way home from an appointment, and I've often thought of how close cars and people sitting are, and I would like to see more safety measures put in place to protect people. It's great to have people out on the sidewalk enjoying our beautiful city, but we need to do it safely.
Thank you. Other councillors wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. 4.2.3, intersection of Acacia Waratah. Petition's been received from 30 residents requesting council to urgently undertake works to make the intersection of Acacia and Waratah streets in Thomastown safe for school children and other pedestrians, as well as drivers and residents. Residents that live and use this intersection have seen numerous near misses and several crashes causing damage to cars, fences and property. This intersection is used by families of the Thomastown East Primary School that use this intersection to get to school. Residents note that there is a state government funding for this purpose and request the City of Whittlesea apply for these funds and commence work immediately. There is a recommendation. Do I have a mover? Councillor Stowe. Do I have a seconder? Sorry, Councillor Stowe, you're moving.
Move the officer's recommendation as it's put.
Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Labrador. Councillor Stowe, it's over to you.
Look, I'm familiar with this area. I used to play tennis around there, so I understand the roads and what they look like. So I think it's a sensible petition and a sensible request. So that's why I'm moving the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Labrador, you're the seconder.
Yep, just short, just quickly, I'd like to again thank the petitioners, and yeah, look, as with a neighbouring suburb, the roads both through Thomastown and through Laylaw are quite narrow, especially these local roads near where the schools are. So it'd be good to see some action on that, and yeah, hopefully we can see an intersection there.
Thank you. Other speakers? I see none. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. There are no joint letters. Now, I'd like to just step back. Councillor McLinden has joined us to the acknowledgements, and I'd just like to read the following statement. Council wishes to acknowledge the decision handed down by the Supreme Court of Victoria last week in proceedings involving Councillor McLinden and the former Minister for Local Government, Nick Stakos. The court found the order made by the Governor in Council on the recommendation of the former Minister to suspend Councillor McLinden for 6 months was invalid. As the City of Whittlesea was not a party to the Supreme Court proceedings, Council does not wish to comment on the case itself. However, we do wish to acknowledge the impact of the past 18 months have had on councillors, in particular Councillor McLinden, their families and council staff. These matters have attracted significant public and media attention and have made for a challenging period. We recognise the very real impact this has had on those involved. We thank our councillors and our staff for their ongoing commitment to serving the community throughout this time. Following the Commission of Inquiry, Council has worked diligently to implement reforms, strengthen governance practices and foster respectful and constructive working relationships. Our focus is now firmly on the future. Council remains committed to working collaboratively and constructively as a governing body. While differing views may arise from time to time, we are united in our responsibility to make sound decisions and deliver the best possible outcomes for the people of the City of Whittlesea. I will now move on to the consideration of reports, and I'll move to item 5.1, a contract variation 2025 contract variation 2025 number 12, pruning and maintenance of trees, and I'll now hand over to Arishdeep Singh as the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment to present the report.
Yeah, good evening and thank you, Chair. I have with me James Walden, Manager of Maintenance and Operations. We are here to request Council to increase the value of contract 2025-12 pruning and maintenance of trees to the tree company from 2.7 million to the value not exceeding 4.5, excluding GST, until 31st of August. The contract itself was extended in March, and that has necessitated an increase in the contract value. No additional funds are being sought, and the increase in the contract value remains within the endorsed budgets. Now I'll pass to James to take us through the report.
Thank you, Arishdeep, and good evening, councillors. Councillors, tonight we seek your endorsement to increase the value of contract CT 202512 for the pruning and maintenance of trees within the City of Whittlesea. In March of last year, Council's long-term tree contracts came to an end, and at their conclusion, Council took the opportunity to test the market with a new contract management approach. Historically, we've managed this service through an elephant contract, and we unbundled that contract in hopes of achieving better outcomes for the community. Across a 12-month pilot program, that unbundled approach produced substantial improvements for the community. We saw a drastic reduction in our customer wait times. We almost doubled our work completion rates, and we achieved a cost benefit of just under $1 million within that 12-month period. Now, we've taken that unbundled approach and we've put it into our specifications for our long-term tree contracts, which we started procuring earlier this year. Those long-term tree contracts are nearing their finalisation, and they'll return to Council in July for your endorsement. Tonight, we are seeking your approval to increase the valuation of our existing contracts so that we might continue to use them until their new contracts are endorsed, awarded and finalised. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Questions? Councillor Stowe, a question?
Yeah, I have two questions. Firstly, the elephant contract, I hadn't heard that term before. Can you tell me what that means?
We had a very large service contract that was provided by a very large service provider.
And is this good value for money for the municipality?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Being none, do I have a mover? Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as the motion.
And seconded was Councillor Stowe. Thank you. I'll move to Councillor Lappin as the mover.
I've got not much to add here. I think the contract's been working well, and it's good to see it extended, so I approve the motion as it stands.
Councillor Stowe, you have the second.
Look, in a similar light, I think that it is good value for money. We have had discussions about this contract and the way it's been unbundled to give us better quantities of scale, a smaller scale, and throughout the municipality. We do have a lot of trees, and we have different parts of the municipality that are different demographics in terms of the terrain and so on. So I think this is good value for money, and it's a sensible thing to do. That's why I'm seconding it.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe. Is there other councillors wish to speak? Councillor McLendon.
Thanks, Chair. I do think that the 12 months of the pilot project I've noticed a difference from the outside, so I think this is they've proved themselves, and they've got until 31st of August next year to continue a good job, and I hope that continues to head in the same direction. And if good things happen, then the contract may just be renewed. So we watch this space. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Move to item 5.2, which is the contract 2026-28, Microsoft Enterprise Licensing. I'll now hand over to Jordan Clancy, the Acting Director of Customer and Corporate Services, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, councillors. I'm pleased to welcome our Chief Information Officer, Asad Qureshi, and Unit Manager, Technology, Infrastructure and Support, Nemi Tebek, to seek Council's approval to award contract 2026-28, Microsoft Enterprise Licensing. I'll now hand over to our CIO, Asad.
Thank you. Microsoft is the largest office software provider in the world, which we utilise at Council. Our current contract is due to expire on 30th of June, and whilst the current MAV contract has further optional extension periods, it was in the interest of Council to explore market pricing from alternative service providers. Council's rationale for this change is that Microsoft EA pricing for licenses under the current contract have increased by over 25% over the last 2 financial years. Following a competitive request for tender process, Procurement Australia has established a panel of qualified and experienced providers for the provision of Microsoft licensing. Logicalis is the preferred provider and is Council's current infrastructure partner. The new arrangement will move Microsoft licensing from an enterprise agreement to a Microsoft cloud solution provider with strong security and compliance capabilities, license consolidation of MS Teams and Power BI, and will include Microsoft Purview. Microsoft Purview is key to managing data and security. It will strengthen data protection and compliance controls, whilst ensuring data is safe in an evolving AI-assisted era. We therefore recommend that Council resolves to award the new contract to Logicalis as per the cost and timelines outlined in the report. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Begin with questions. Can't see any. Sorry, question?
So can you just give me, you sort of talked about the licensing, but you didn't really, I couldn't kind of understand what we actually use Microsoft for. I think that, you know, we use it for Teams and those sorts of things, but I don't want to just assume. So could you give me just a bit of an example of what it's used for? And also, what does it mean by data hygiene?
Yep, sure. Thank you for the question. Microsoft we use in a number of areas. So it's our Office suite, so our normal Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint. It's also Microsoft Teams, and it's also Power BI and all of our analytics as well. And now with the new licensing, we're going to get Microsoft Purview as well, which is essentially a data capability and categorization tool.
And data hygiene?
Yep, and data hygiene is basically keeping our data in a right model and a right schema for other systems to be able to use. Data sanity is extremely important. If the data is not clean, then the output of the data is normally not clean and, you know, rubbish in, rubbish out. So therefore, it's just keeping the entire data set clean and sanitized as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Oh, sorry, Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, so you didn't go out to tender for this, and yep.
Yep, so the tender process was conducted by Procurement Australia, who have obviously conducted the tender process on behalf of a number of councils and come out with the best agreement, and we're just leveraging those that tender.
Thank you. Any other questions? None. I'll move to the recommendation. Councillor Cole.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the motion as follows with changes to point 2. Authorise the acting Chief Executive Officer or their delegate to sign the agreement with Logicalis on behalf of Council, and the remaining 2 paragraphs to stay as the officer's recommendation or the motion.
Okay. Just get that adjusted on the screen. Nope. Wrong.
That's the wrong. Is that the wording, Councillor Cole? Oops.
Okay, do I have a seconder to that? Councillor Gunn. I'll move to Councillor Caldwell as the mover.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Obviously, my enthusiasm to move the motion was more around cleaning up the language of the particular point 2, just to make it clear who exactly we're authorising to go into an agreement with. But I will make the point that data security is extremely important for an organisation of this size and the amount of data that we keep on people. It is important that we have strong safeguards and systems in place that safeguard people's data, and I believe that's part of the Microsoft package, is indeed making sure that people's data and information and privacy is sacrosanct. And I'm confident that signing an agreement with a reputable organisation like this goes some way to not only providing important IT services, but ensuring that the information that Council has and keeps is kept in private at Australian standards, which is really important. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn as the seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a quick comment in relation to the procurement process for this. During our briefing, we were taken through the procurement process and how there's strength in numbers and the leverage that we were able to get a really good deal for the services that we're getting from Logicalis. And I think that offers good value for money for the City of Whittlesea. Thanks.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, Chair. I just had a clarifying question. Would it change much? Obviously, we've put in item 2, sign the agreement with Logicalis on behalf of Council. Does it change much if, does that open us up to risk, especially as there's 6 separate businesses named Logicalis on ABN? There's 6 separate entities, yet item 1 has Logicalis Australia Pty Ltd. Does it change much? Or does that open us up to risk if we don't include the full company name on item 2?
I'll just I'll just get Asad to come back up and answer the question.
Sorry, could I request that you just repeat the question? Apologies.
Sorry, it's a bit of a roundabout, bit of a muddle of a question. Does it matter that we don't include the full company name in item 2 when it states in item 1? Just for clarity, does it open us up to risk as there's 6 separate companies with a similar name?
No, it won't. In the actual contract itself, it will be stipulated very clearly, so it won't open up to risk.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.3, the budget 2026-27. I'll now move to that, and I'll hand over to Jordan Clancy, the Acting Director of Customer and Corporate Services, to present the report in conjunction with.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening again, councillors. I'm pleased to welcome our Chief Finance Officer, Aaron, and Manager of EPMO and Change, Adrian, to table the budget 2026-27 with you this evening. I'll hand straight over to Aaron to take you through it.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. The purpose of this report is to present to Council the budget 2026-27. The budget has been prepared in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020 and sets out the services, infrastructure and programs Council will deliver over the next year, while ensuring Council remains financially sustainable into the future. The budget has been shaped through an extensive process over more than 8 months, including community engagement, public exhibition, the hearing of submissions committee process, and ongoing councillor involvement throughout each stage. Importantly, more than 1,300 community members contributed through the engagement process. Through this work, a clear and consistent set of priorities emerged, centred around community safety, roads, public transport and footpaths, ageing well services, community facilities, and community wellbeing. These priorities are reflected throughout the budget. This work also builds on extensive engagement undertaken in prior years, particularly in relation to master planning and long-term infrastructure planning, ensuring that community feedback continues to translate into real outcomes and investment across the municipality. At the same time, the budget has been developed within a challenging financial environment. Our average rates in 2026-27 will increase by 2.75%, in line with the rate cap set by the Victorian Government under the Fair Go rating system. While revenue growth remains constrained, Council continues to face increasing costs, significant population growth, and growing demand for infrastructure and community services. Turning to the financial position, the budget includes operating revenue of $510.4 million and operating expenditure of $352.7 million, resulting in an operating surplus of $157.7 million. However, this result is largely influenced by non-cash and restricted items such as development contributions, non-monetary assets, and non-recurrent capital grants. After adjusting for these items, the budget delivers an adjusted underlying surplus of $7.2 million, representing a financially sustainable position in the current environment. Over the next 4 years, Council will invest approximately $2 billion in services and infrastructure for our community. This includes continuing to deliver the essential services and our community relies on every day, including waste collection and resource recovery, maternal and child health, libraries, family and aged services, parks and open space maintenance, transport networks, leisure and recreation services, planning services, and support for our local businesses and economic development. Council also remains committed to supporting vulnerable members of our community through subsidised services, community grants, and financial hardship assistance programs. Alongside these services, Council will invest $116.6 million in capital works during 2026-27, forming part of a $430.4 million four-year capital works program. Key projects include the delivery of a 4-court indoor stadium and 8 outdoor courts as part of Stage 2 of the Regional Sports Precinct in Mernda, the completion of the West Wollert Community Centre, road and intersection improvements, recreation facility upgrades, playground renewals, and continued investment in community infrastructure across the municipality. Throughout the development of the budget, Council has also maintained a strong focus on efficiency, process improvement, and responsible financial management to ensure we continue delivering services and infrastructure while maintaining long-term financial sustainability. In summary, the budget 2026-27 represents a balanced and responsible approach to meeting the needs of our growing community. It reflects extensive community input, ongoing councillor involvement, and a commitment to delivering essential services, investing in critical infrastructure, and maintaining Council's long-term financial sustainability. I propose the recommendations outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to questions first. Being none, a mover. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as the motion.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Zinni. And I'll move to Councillor Lappin as the mover.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm very proud to support this budget, and not only because of the strong investment in infrastructure and services, but also because of those investments in our community continue to happen despite huge growth challenges for our area and a continued rate cap which is set below inflation. I understand that rates can be a contentious issue, and it's been said before in this council that any cut in rates would need to be accompanied by a cut in services or projects. Going back to the issue of the rate cap being set below inflation means that every year this council would start slightly behind and struggle to keep up with our mandate, if not for a constant culture of finding efficiencies and savings across our work. The extensive list of capital works in this budget, which includes the Regional Sports Precinct Stage 2, road upgrades, the Yan Yin Pipe Track, and the continued support of essential services such as maternal child health and our aged care services, it shows that those internal efficiencies are working. We simply couldn't afford to do these things if every year we sat back and watched as inflation overtook our capacity to provide for our community. To make this happen is more nuanced than simply making cuts to save money, because it has to be. Council looks at ways to produce efficiencies across every department through restructures, reforming our waste services and shopping around for better rates, and a constant review of our services and procedures. This year, Council alone has made savings of over $60 million. That's money directly back in the community and without sacrifices to our service provision. This work needs to be acknowledged and understood, and it's because of this culture of reform which enables our council to remain competitive and effective. It can sometimes be hard to explain to every resident what council does for them and where the money goes, and that reason is because every single person requires something different from council. Some residents just want the grass cut and the parks maintained, and some residents need to use our community centres for cultural events. Some of our younger residents need a library and a crossing supervisor to ensure they get to school safely, and some older residents need support for their seniors clubs. We deliver lots of different services because we have lots of different residents, and the extensive work that goes into these budgets to make sure that there is something for everyone takes a huge amount of work and effort. This budget is a reflection of the community and their needs, and not only because of the submissions and direct feedback to the budget drafts from residents, but because the need of every resident will be reflected somewhere in this budget. Because of this, though, not every single line of the budget is going to appeal or apply to every single person in our community at once. It's impossible to do that. But this budget does move us forward by providing avenues for and building our capacity for growth and providing services to those in our community who need them, and it maintains our existing assets to the strong standard that we expect. If people are wondering where their rates are going, it goes to support the community you live in. It builds your community, it builds playgrounds, it builds bike lanes, it builds roads, it funds events, and it maintains our parks and supports training and employment pathways. Every year, this council and our officers collate all these different priorities into one balanced document and strategy. By its very nature, there's always room to improve and different methods to achieve quality outcomes. And after this budget is endorsed, this council will start work almost immediately on the next budget with the goal to always make it better. This budget before us tonight is of a high quality and the right budget for our community right now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The seconder, Councillor Zinni.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to acknowledge the efforts also, as Councillor Lappin has advised, this year's budget process. It has been a massive task, and I want to recognise the work of officers in bringing forward a budget that balances a wide range of competing demands. It is never an easy exercise to align community expectations and service delivery and the financial sustainability, particularly in a current rate cap environment, and with us being one of the biggest growth councils in Melbourne. I also want to thank my fellow councillors. I think we have worked respectfully through this process, and we have all had the opportunity to put forward the needs of our communities and our wards. That respect has been important in ensuring that the final budget reflects a broad range of priorities across our municipality. From a ward perspective, I'm extremely pleased to see continued progress on key capital works that respond directly to the needs of residents in my community. $500,000 for Kalinak Reserve Pavilion to upgrade the women's toilets and change rooms, and the additional successful state grant towards lighting of the paths there as well. $800,000 for the Norris Bank tennis courts. There will also be a circuit walk lighting to the Norris Bank Reserve, which I'm extremely happy about. It means a lot of people can now walk that Norris Bank Reserve at night time. $500,000 for the Dr. Harry Jenkins Park in Mill Park, the lighting of the tennis courts there, and the upgrade to the playground and the redevelopment of that playground. At the start of this process, us councillors really did want our CEO to guide our officers and the council into really being tighter on where we're putting our money in certain areas, so really to tighten that belt. And the recent efficiencies that have been achieved include labour savings of over $3.57 million, process improvements exceeding $26.3 million. We've also saved on operating savings for more than $17.32 million, and revenue generation. So that's initiatives that are contributing $12.8 million to this budget. I would have liked to have seen a stronger opportunity for community consultation during the early stages of the budget process, and I understand that this is a challenge in certain areas and in the process of it being so big, but I do think that there is room for us to continue exploring more creative and meaningful ways to involve the community earlier on in the piece, especially when it regards to the cycles of our budget. So thank you to everyone, and I'm looking forward to working on next year's budget. Thanks, Chair.
Other speakers? Councillor McLendon.
Thank you, Chair. I've been watching budgets ever since I was born as one of 9 children, so it's a passion of mine. When the porridge hit the table, you made sure everyone got a fair amount, and if you didn't, it'd be all hell would break loose. So I'm quite passionate when it comes down to budgets, and it's no secret that I did campaign on a 2-year rates freeze, so I will honour that commitment, and I think we need elected representatives from all levels of government that if they say something, they do it. So I mean this with no ill intent to the officers and the work that's been done. I think an enormous amount of work has been done. I will be honouring that commitment and voting against the budget this year. However, I must let the community know also that under legislation, we don't actually have to, we're not required to go through the community engagement process. And what we have done here with over 1,300 submissions, I think demonstrates our willingness to engage the community. And I think that's ought to be applauded because not all councils do. And I think that we have seen huge amounts of cost shifting. This is an element that we need to address as a council and not just as a standalone council, but councils collectively. I think what we're seeing between the levels of government is a lack of clarity in our roles and responsibilities, and not least in council. The state government have quite often shifted more and more expenses to us, and as I said, we've become the tax collectors in many circumstances, such as the fire services levy. And our role as council is to do the basics brilliantly, and that has expanded over the time. And I think Spring Street has unduly shifted many costs to councils, and we usually cop the brunt of it when we go out into our communities. So I'll make that very clear. We also have, with an ageing demographic, people who are asset rich but cash poor. So these bottom lines do impact their household budgets, particularly those that are single as well. And I think even though the 2.75 is a very modest increase and a reasonable increase, it certainly hasn't been that across the board when it comes to wages, etc. So I like innovative policy. I like to see us pull the belt in a little bit more, and that's our job as council, as elected representatives. And I think that we've done a reasonable job in the time that we've had. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to vote against the budget last year because the minister unlawfully stood me down, but this is the second year, and as I said, I'll honour those commitments there. And you can do it. I think rates freeze are possible. We've seen that with Bayside. It does mean that some things get cut, and that is life, particularly through a cost of living crisis. So it does mean that you need to divvy things up a bit and work out what the priorities are. And if that means going to the bottom line and cutting some services that are either lacking or disproportionate in terms of those that benefit from those services, then they're the things that we need to itemise and look at. And I really do hope in the next 12 months that we get a greater opportunity and more time to reflect on the line items right across the board through every department, and we start saying where can we actually cut savings. So as I've said before, budget's a bit like a fridge as well. There's always things in the fridge that can go in the bin, or there's excess, or that you probably didn't need to buy in the first place. And that's what we need to actually do. So we need to go through our line items by line items in greater detail to say, do we actually need this for the city? What's the net gain? What's the net benefit? Having said that, I do acknowledge the huge amount of effort put in by all departments and staff. Congratulate you on a job well done, and please don't drop the ball on the community engagement. I think we're probably a beacon of light compared to many councils in terms of our engagement there, so well done for that. And I do hope that those who are feeling the pinch in terms of cost of living are able to accommodate this, and I do feel for those people who are struggling, but overall I think the council's done a very good job, and Whittlesea does a lot of things right, but I will be putting my hand against it for those very reasons that I've said, and I do hope that I might be able to support the budget this time next year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? I might just get you to indicate speaking for or against at this time too, just in case. Councillor Caldwell.
Yeah, speaking for, thank you, Chair. This budget represents a continued and deliberate investment in approximately $147 essential services that underpin the health, well-being, connection to place, community engagement and social and emotional development of the 268,000 residents who call the City of Whittlesea home. It provides over $116 million in capital works in the coming year and across the forward 4-year period, totaling approximately $430 million in planned expenditure. With City of Whittlesea anticipating population growth of 30% by 2036, this investment underscores the critical importance of delivering infrastructure that keeps pace with rapidly expanding community. This is a responsible and measured budget, delivering an adjusted underlying surplus of $7.15 million, while local government is not driven by a return of a dividend. Prudent and financial stewardship ensures that Council retains the capacity to meet both the current obligations and future demands. Council's commitment to sound financial management is further demonstrated through approximately $59,800,000 in savings, efficiencies, process improvement and revenue initiatives. We will continue to actively pursue opportunities to enhance value for money, strengthen long-term financial stability and minimise cost pressures wherever possible, while maintaining the delivery of services, infrastructure and community outcomes our residents expect and deserve. We recognise ongoing cost of living pressures facing many households and the importance of keeping rates as affordable as possible. While rates will increase by 2.75%, this remains below the most recent Melbourne CPI data of 3.9%, meaning that rate increases are being kept below inflation. However, we acknowledge that this may offer little comfort to those experiencing final hardship, and I strongly encourage any resident in this situation to engage with Council and access the range of supports available, including flexible payment arrangements, rate deferrals, and fee waivers under Council's financial hardship policy. This budget has been shaped through extensive community consultation with over 1,050 contributions received through online engagement, pop-ups, surveys and written submissions. I would also like to personally acknowledge the 4 speakers who presented at the hearing of submissions on Tuesday the 5th of May, at which I was present, as well as the 27 additional written submissions requesting a formal response from Council. Success is never the work of one alone. I extend my sincere thanks to the Council officers, the Executive, my fellow councillors and most importantly the community for their valuable contribution to this budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Lenbu.
Thank you, Chair. Speaking for. I want to speak about the budget from a governance and risk perspective, which I believe is our role on Council. My concern is the growing structural pressure on our organisation. Employee costs are now sitting at around 39% of available revenue, while revenue remains constrained by rate capping, borrowing is increasing, and other levels of government continue to shift costs onto Council. That is not a sustainable position. I also want to understand the return on investment for the additional $24 million, approximately, in employee costs. As a representative of the taxpayer, we should be able to explain what the outcomes the expenditure is delivering for residents clearly. Pay increases without a clear link to productivity, efficiency, or improved service outcomes pose a risk to the organisation, especially when the next increase takes us further away from a balanced budget, and that'll happen in 4 years' time. I use this example with some of my council colleagues. If you give someone $1,000 to achieve a goal, how will they achieve that goal if they actually need $2,000? It pushes them to think innovatively and to look for other methods to achieve that goal. I also have concerns about the way enterprise bargaining arrangements are progressed. These are significant financial commitments, yet councillors are not given the same level of scrutiny and briefing that we would expect for other major expenditure decisions of this scale. This is considered operational and outside the purview of Council. I believe this should be examined. We owe it to the community to be transparent about how these commitments are approved and what assumptions sit behind them. What I do not accept is the argument that if headcount changes, services must automatically reduce. In my mind, that's a defeatist mindset. It assumes no innovation, no process improvement, no redesign. A resident-first organisation should be asking how we can deliver better outcomes differently, not simply how we preserve the status quo. Now, I'm not saying for an instance that that is what's happening at the City of Whittlesea. I believe that our council, our executive and those who support them are doing an amazing job, but I do think that we can do better. Change is never easy, but if we continue on this path, the community will ultimately pay the price. We need a more disciplined, innovative and accountable approach to costs, service delivery and long-term sustainability. Whilst I support the budget, diligence needs to continue to deliver productivity increases and innovation across the organisation. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to thank the council officers and the directors for the significant work that they've put in relation to the finalisation of this budget, but I wholeheartedly 100% support Councillor Lemberg and his comments. Thank you.
I take it that was speaking for. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Apologies. Other speakers? Sorry, Councillor Stowe.
Thank you, Chair. So I don't want to labour and repeat what everybody else says. I feel a bit like Councillor Lemberg must have listened to my TEDx talk, even though he hasn't heard it yet. So, because I'd also like to see an increase in efficiencies. But firstly, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the officers for putting this together. It is such a big job and a lot of cogs in this wheel or cogs in the whole organisation. So I acknowledge and thank the officers, particularly also, as Councillor Zinni pointed out, the collaborative nature of our work has been over a long period of time, the 8 or 9 months. It goes back not just the last few months, but we've been working on this for a long time together, all of council. So, and I've been quite happy, you know, the way that we've worked together as a councillor group. I do see that efficiencies, innovation and efficiencies are a key driver, and labour savings of $3.6 million, processing improvements of $26 million, and the highlights that we've had, but I don't want to repeat everything. The fire services levy is particularly concerning to me in terms of that's something that impacts my ward mostly because of the rural nature of my ward, Whittlesea and Doreen and beyond. So that's something that, you know, we should keep an eye on. As Councillor McClendon pointed out, I would like to see us find more improvements in efficiency over the organisation. So I support this budget, but I think once we sit down to work going forward, I would like to see how we can make more improvements in efficiencies for our residents, because they are hurting. We're all hurting out there at the moment. In terms of the fridge, I don't have any extra food in the fridge, Councillor McMillan, so maybe I can grab some of yours. But also acknowledging the community. I like to see a lot of community engagement, and I feel that, you know, we're not doing enough of it. But when I hear that there was 1,300 submissions, that's amazing. And I also acknowledge that as much as we try to engage with the community, but then when we hold meetings and things and people don't actually turn up or they don't give feedback. But as much as we can, I think that we have done a lot of community engagement, so I'm really happy about that. But I accept that there's been a lot of hard work gone into this budget, and I'll be voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be speaking against the budget, and though I am speaking against the budget, I do still appreciate the work the officers have done and all the time that they've spent labouring on it. However, I am opposed to the budget for one simple reason: it does not deliver the rates relief for our residents. I was elected on a mandate by residents in Laylaw to deliver savings in the form of rates relief, and I stand by my residents and the rest of Whittlesea who is also feeling the pinch. We cannot keep telling our ratepayers that they need to tighten their belts in this cost of living crisis whilst their government at all 3 levels continue to spend. I reject the premise that we have to continuously raise rates to balance the budget. Every resident, family and business owner will now be asked to pay more. When the world around them is already asking so much of them, how much more can we continue to take from them? I stand with our ratepayers whose rates have gone up but their pensions haven't. I stand with our businesses who are already struggling to pay their employees and sustain their jobs. And I stand with our families that have to choose between paying rent or their mortgage and their food, gas or electricity. And I'm against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor? No? Before I go to the right of reply, I'll just add my comments because this is the, as has been identified, one of the two most important meetings in the municipal calendar. First being the statutory meeting in terms of the election of the mayor. The second position is the budget. The budget being the fundamental supply of what we do as a council. It's within our purview to make decisions. It's within our purview to make cuts. It's in our purview to reflect or direct strategic outcomes as councillors. We are restricted by way of a rates cap, which is less than inflation, and that is a necessary, or sorry, not a necessary, but it's a restrictive practice that for a growth council, it makes us very hard to provide the improvements that are required in our area under our responsibility. And as has been alluded to by other speakers, don't accept the premise of cost shifting back into funding services that are expected to be delivered by other levels of government who have responsibilities. And I also take the comments that we need to constantly review and constantly look at alternatives, and our officers are doing that. And as every councillor around this table has experienced throughout this year, we have seen service reviews, we have seen structural delivery reviews, and they are being put by our officers without fear or favour, but they are being done in good faith for us to consider, and that's part of this process. No one likes an increase. I'm a ratepayer, the same as everybody else in this community is a ratepayer, and I don't like to see having to pay extra money, but I also live in a growth area. I live on the growth boundary. I see the lack of services that are in those areas that traditional areas have got, and we have worked over many years to deliver those services in those areas, and we need to constantly fund renewals, constantly maintain, and we want more. So every councillor has a responsibility, I understand, to try and minimise the cost increase, but we can't also sit at the table and immediately say we want more without finding those savings. So that's where the argument cuts, or the rubber hits the road, is that we have to come back and work out where the cuts need to be. And unfortunately, that's the real way of saving money, is the cuts. So we've got to be upfront, make a decision and say, we're not going to deliver that service, or we're not going to do that capital works unless we provide the financial ability to do it. And there are projects around that will be subject to other discussions later on. We want them. We can't pay for them out of rates. And if we can't get the funding out of the other levels of government, we can't expect the ratepayer to pick that up. So from our perspective as councillors, we try and find the best outcome that we can deliver. And this year has been a fantastic working effort by everybody around the table and by the officers. And Aaron still hasn't found the cash for me, and I'll keep reminding him of that. But we are delivering a responsible and reflective budget for our community. And that's what I'll finish on and leave it at that. The right of reply goes back to Councillor Lappin.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. So I think the comments around tonight around like the value of rates and having the rate freeze to offer a bit of relief, I don't think that really translates, because we've had some modelling done where a rate freeze would, I think it would save someone about $8 or $16 per quarter. And now I appreciate that is a lot of money for some people, but I would say if you're in a position where you simply can't afford your rates, there is those avenues which Councillor Colwell spoke to, where we can offer flexible payments and try and help you out there. I think most of the I'll say, response around rates, and most of the grievance around that is a general grievance around having to pay rates, and it translates to having to pay tax as well. There's ideas that they just shouldn't go up. I will say that we may not get, if we were to do a rate freeze, the political win or credit for it, because rates are based on the value of your property. So we could freeze rates, but then they may go up anyway because of the value of your property, which normally goes up anyway. So I think what people want to see or need to see is value for their rates. So we need to make sure that we're delivering quality infrastructure and quality services, and making sure that when people go out there into our community, they're seeing value for their rates. I think that any rate freeze will result in a cut in services, and I think that the savings gotten from a freeze, which is not very much, would not equate to the cut in that service. So we need to be very careful about how we go about that in the future. Just talking to, I guess, also the Councillor Lemberg's point about the increases to wages for the staff. Obviously, that is operational and doesn't go through with us. Just from my own experience, from my own work being a union delegate, I'll just say that workers have the right to organise and negotiate for pay increases, and I think that is a good thing, and I think it should be done in a way that is sustainable, but I think that's part of the negotiation process between council and workers, and I think that's a good thing that we have here at the City of Whittlesea. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the budget, please raise your hands. So, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Colwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn and Councillor Stowe. All those against, Councillor Labrador and Councillor McLinden. The vote is carried and the budget is carried. Thank you very much. I will now move to item 5.4, the Community Action Plan 26-27, and I'll hand over again to Jordan Clancy, the Acting Director of Customer and Corporate Services, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, councillors. I'm pleased to welcome back our Manager of EPMO and Change, Adrian, to table the 2026-27 Community Action Plan. I'll hand over to Adrian.
Thank you, Jordan, and good evening, councillors. I'm pleased to present the Community Action Plan 26-27 for your consideration this evening. This plan represents the second year of delivery under our Community Plan 2025 to 2029 and has been developed in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. It sets out a clear and coordinated program of 53 actions that will guide Council's work over the next financial year, aligned to our long-term vision of Whittlesea 2040, a place for all. Over the past 8 months, Council has undertaken a comprehensive engagement program alongside the annual budget, designed to ensure that the plan is genuinely shaped by the voices of our community. Through a multi-phased approach, including pop-up engagement across the municipality, targeted stakeholder sessions, deliberative focus groups and a dedicated online platform, more than 1,300 community members contributed their perspectives. Council has worked closely with the community to test what we heard, refine priorities and return with a draft plan for further feedback. In the final phase alone, more than 200 community members participated, with strong engagement and majority support for the proposed direction of the plan. Across all phases of engagement, 5 consistent priorities emerged: roads, public transport and footpaths, community safety, ageing well services, community facilities and community wellbeing. These priorities have directly shaped the actions in this plan, providing a clear link between community input and Council's role in planning, prioritisation and delivering for the community. These actions will be delivered alongside Council's business as usual activities as outlined in the Community Plan 25 to 29, as well as the long-term capital plan which sets out Council's infrastructure investments over the next 4 years. The Community Action Plan provides not only a roadmap for the year ahead, but also demonstrates Council's commitment to transparent, inclusive and responsive decision making. It reflects our responsibility to deliver services and infrastructure that support our growing and diverse municipality. Should Council endorse this plan, officers will provide regular quarterly updates to Council, ensuring visibility of progress and continued accountability to both Council and the community. Our officer recommendation is that Council adopt the Community Action Plan 26-27, which sets out a coordinated and responsive program of actions aligned to Council's strategic priorities and community needs. But before closing, I would like to acknowledge and thank the many wonderful community members, stakeholders and representative groups that we've met, over the last few months, including our Youth Council and senior clubs who contributed their time and insights throughout the process. Their input has been instrumental in shaping this plan that is grounded, practical in its delivery and reflective of community priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Stowe.
I know that I ask it every time, but I forget every time. And for the benefit of people who might be watching, residents, what does EPMO stand for again?
Thank you for the question. It stands for Enterprise Project Management Office.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? None. Mover of a recommendation? Councillor Zinni, you're moving.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the officer recommendation.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Lappin. Councillor Zinni.
Yes, I'm pleased to see the Community Action Plan reflecting a real strong focus on wellbeing. In particular, I note the priorities around improving mental health. That's one of the things that I wanted to improve during my campaigning. And wellbeing support pathways, especially addressing homelessness and housing insecurity, supporting residents experiencing cost of living stress, strengthening partnerships with community service organisations, and improving access for vulnerable groups. All of us councillors have come together and agreed that these strategic priorities reflect what we want to see delivered to our community. And this plan is an important step in giving practical effect to that shared direction. So I'm grateful for the officers and the relevant teams that have maintained the community safety as well as a key strategic priority, especially what we're facing today with the crime crisis. So it is a strategic priority within this plan, and I would recommend all the community members to be reading this action plan and see what priorities are in place and what us councillors have decided, along with the officers, is important to us here at the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just really briefly, actually, I think this is a really good document for the community to look at, just to see exactly what we're doing. I think it's set out in a way that's really easy to read. I think it really shows what Council's doing this year. It collates it really nicely. I think the budget as a document is pretty long and unwieldy sometimes. So I think this is a really good starting point for residents who are curious about where their rates are going this year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Colwell.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Excuse me. The community plan sets out our strategic priorities, ambitions, aspirations and goals of our community as we enter the next financial year and continue the important work of delivering for the people of the City of Whittlesea. It reflects not only where we are today, but the future where we are collectively working towards, one defined by stronger connection, enhanced livability and sustainable growth. It provides a clear and considered framework for Council's decision-making, ensuring that our investment and actions remain aligned with the evolving needs and expectations of our community. At its core, the plan is about delivering tangible outcomes that improve quality of life, strengthen community identity and support the long-term prosperity of the municipality. Of particular significance to me and to the Mill Park community is the imminent completion of the Stables Kindergarten. The project represents a meaningful investment in early years infrastructure, supporting young families and laying the foundation for lifelong learning and development of a growing community. Equally important is the commencement of the Yan Yan Pipe Track shared user path connecting Centenary Drive to Bush Boulevard in Mill Park. This initiative will enhance active transport options, promote healthier lifestyle, improve connectivity across the area, contributing to both the environmental sustainability and community wellbeing. In addition, the community plan prioritises commencement of the design for the public space improvement within the Mill Park Drive precinct. This includes Miller Community Centre, Mill Park Shops and the Mill Park Preschool. These are vital community assets and their enhancement will play an important role in revitalising the precinct, creating more welcoming, functioning and inclusive spaces that better serve residents now and into the future. Taken together, these projects reflect a broader commitment to consideration place-based investment, ensuring that growth is supported by high-quality infrastructure and thoughtful designed community spaces. They demonstrate a clear focus on strengthening neighbourhoods, improving accessibility and fostering a sense of belonging. This is not simply a plan for the year ahead, it is part of a long journey, a journey that recognises the importance of planning with purpose, investing with discipline and delivering with integrity for the benefit of the current and future generations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Stowe.
So I was very pleased to see this community action plan, and it does lay out everything that we're doing, and it is a great document that our residents should have a look at to see where we are doing work and where their rates are being spent. And there's so many different actions: environment, community, wellbeing, mental health, seniors. One of the things that I was particularly interested in, though, a couple of things, were the Disability Action Group or the Disability Advisory Group. I note that it's there, but I will take a particular keen interest in making sure that moves forward, as well as the Disability Precinct, to make sure that as we go forward, when we develop our estates and planning, that we do have actually slopes and cambers on our footpaths that do actually support people in wheelchairs and people with disabilities, because I know that some of the footpaths are not quite in keeping with the disability standards. So, but I am really keen to see more in the disability space. As you know, everybody knows that I'm a carer for my daughter. So, but it's a great list of all the things that we do. So I commend the work that's been done, and I vote for this motion.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Pardon me. 5.5, we'll now move to the quarterly corporate performance report for the quarter 3 ended on the 31st of March 2026, and I'll now hand over again to Jordan Clancy, Acting Director of Customer and Corporate Services, to present the report.
Thank you again, Chair. Council, I'm pleased to welcome back up to the table tonight Chief Finance Officer Aaron, and we're also joined by Unit Manager of Financial Strategy and Performance Rahul to table the quarterly corporate performance report Q3 for the period ending the 31st of March 2026. I'll hand straight over to Rahul.
Thank you, Jordan, and good evening, councillors. The purpose of this report is to present the quarterly corporate performance report for the period ended 31st March 2026, which covers the community action plan, good governance, capital works performance, and the financial performance. Starting from a community action plan perspective, there are 46 targeted actions to be delivered in the current financial year. Of the 46 key actions, 27 actions have been completed, 12 reported on track, 5 actions are being monitored, and 2 reported as off track. From a good governance perspective, a new youth council was established consisting of 13 passionate young people who help shape our work and represent youth voices. Biannual personal interest returns were also circulated to nominated officers. All returns were received within the required timeframe, and no instance of non-compliance were identified. Moving to capital works performance, capital expenditure stands at 53.6 million, which is 9.9 million behind the year-to-date budget. The delivery of the projects within the 2025-26 capital works program have been impacted due to delays in sequencing of construction works, site conditions, delays in design phase, and resource constraint. As a result, 25.5 million will be carried over into the 2026-27 financial year. Turning to financial performance, as at 31st March 2026, Council recorded an operating surplus of 199.9 million, which is 18.8 million favorable to the year-to-date budget. The forecast for the year ending 30 June 2026 anticipates an operating surplus of 165.2 million, which is 12.7 million favorable to the adopted budget. Finally, I would like to highlight that Council's operating surplus is an accounting result only and does not constitute excess cash available for Council to spend. It is largely made up of either non-cash items such as development contributions or cash items that are restricted by legislation in how they can be used in future by Council. I propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? See none. Thank you. Do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Caldwell. Microphone.
Excuse me, I would like to move the officer's recommendation as the motion, please, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Gunn. Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you, Chair. As part of the Quarterly Performance Report, we are presented with updates on the delivery of the Community Action Plan. I wish to draw particular attention to Goal 1 and Action 1, and I'll abridge it in wording for the purpose of this contribution. Action 1, deliver education modules to sporting clubs and undertake implementation of Council's fair access policy. This action is both timely and significant. It reflects Council's clear commitment to ensuring our sporting environments are inclusive, equitable and reflective of the diverse community we serve, particularly in creating greater opportunities and access for women and girls. It is important to recognise that some of the pioneers and early adopters of the fair access policy are now amongst those clubs identified as beneficiaries of capital works funding for upgrades to clubroom facilities for the 25-26 budget. This alignment is not incidental. It demonstrates that Council is seeking to support and partner with those sporting clubs and groups that actively embody the principles of fairness, inclusion and equitable opportunities. Importantly, the fair access policy should not be viewed as an administrative requirement, but a fundamental standard of good governance and community leadership. Sporting clubs are integral to the social fabrics of our municipality, and with that, the role comes a responsibility to ensure their facilities, practices and cultures are welcoming for all. Clubs that embrace these principles position themselves strongly, not only as leaders within their community, but also as credible partners when Council invests in infrastructure and facility improvements. Conversely, it must be clearly understood that a failure to engage and implement the fair access policy may have serious implication when Council assesses priorities for future investment. Equity of access is and must remain a key consideration in determining where and how public funds are allocated. Ultimately, this is about more. This is about more than compliance. It's about setting a clear expectation that inclusion is not negotiable and that Council will continue to champion and support those who are actively contributing to building a fairer, more accessible and more cohesive community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn, seconder.
Just briefly, the quarterly performance report is a very important report that we get. It keeps us up to date with where things are at and how projects are tracking. This is important for our governance and ensuring that we don't carry too many projects over into a new financial year and then potentially increase costs, blowouts. So, yep, this is an important report. It may not be the most interesting report to read, a bit like a budget, but it is important for us to keep track of, and I recommend that people read the public report, so thank you.
Other speakers? Councillor Stowe?
So I won't be supporting this motion because it's got quite a few different reports in it, in the governance report as well. And in the past, I have requested that we separate those out so that we can have individual discussions on them rather than lump them all together.
Councillor Stowe?
Yeah.
The corporate performance report, not the governance report.
It says there's a governance report in this motion as well. There's 3 reports in there.
It's a
But
report-
anyway, I've asked them to be separated out, so.
No, it's a report on governance. It's not the governance issues. Anyhow,
Well, there's a-
you've made your point.
Yep.
Okay. Any other speakers? None. You've got to reply if you wish.
Look, I think it's best left unsaid. I think I've explained my position fully, and we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. So I'll call Councillor Labrador, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Corwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor McLinden, Councillor Gunn. All those against, Councillor Stowe. The motion's carried. Cool. I'll now move to item 5.6, which is the 2025-26 Q3 community grants, and I'll go and hand over to Jordan Clancy, the Acting Director of Customer and Corporate Services, to present the report. I get the whole length of the title, gives you an opportunity to get to the seat.
It's just rolling off the tongue now, right?
Thank
you, Chair, and thank you, councillors. Very pleased again to welcome back Adrian, our Manager of EPMO and Change, to present the 2025-26 Q3 Community Grants Plan. I'll hand to Adrian.
Thank you again, Jordan, and good evening again, councillors. We are very proud to present to you the 25-26 Q3 Community Grants Report, where we have spent up to 88% of this year's centralised grants budget. This quarter we received a total of 80 applications for grants, which included 2 council-driven grants for community-based emergency services and the environmental works grant programs. Of the 80 applications submitted, 64 were approved, indicating an approval conversion rate of approximately 80%. The total amount of funding allocated during this period reached around $215,000, demonstrating a significant investment in community outcomes across multiple grant program streams. The Community-Based Emergency Services Grant Program is based on an approved tier-based service model according to the level of support provided to the City of Whittlesea community. We received 13 applications from both CFA and SES providers, which included an extra application from last year being from Kinglake West under Tier 3, just outside the municipal border, but servicing Whittlesea residents within the CFA catchment. The Environmental Works Program, Grant Program is an incentive program that provides financial support to rural landowners undertaking projects on private property that protect and enhance remnant vegetation and promote local wildlife conservation. The key outcomes for this grant is for the protection of our valued landscapes, waterways and species, ensure land management and land use are sustainable, and ensure our natural environment and biodiversity are resilient to climate change. The Environmental Works Grant Program and the Community-Based Emergency Services Grant Program accounted for a large proportion of approvals this quarter, both in application volume and also funding allocation. In contrast, some categories such as the large grants and the unincorporated grants experienced lower approval rates due to not meeting eligibility and project readiness requirements. The Q3 overview demonstrates that while the program continues to meet strong community demand, it also maintains rigorous assessment processes to ensure funds are allocated effectively and responsibly. The overall results indicate that council funding is playing a critical role in enabling community-driven projects, supporting local organisations, and continuing to deliver outcomes aligned to strategic priorities. Thank you.
Questions? Councillor Lenberg.
I just have a question around the environmental management stuff. So with weed control as an example, do we have any stipulation around how that is done? It could be more of an adverse environmental effect if they spray them with Roundup. So is there a way to make sure that where that $1,000 in this case is being used in an environmentally friendly way?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so as part of this grant program, a council officer assesses each application by visiting the rural property with the rural landowner and assesses the extent of weed eradication and appropriate measures to undertake that weed eradication as well. So they discuss multiple avenues in which that could occur, and obviously the most sustainable approach is the best approach. Thank you.
Other questions? none, I'll move to the recommendation. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Gunn.
I move the officer recommendation as the motion.
Seconded, Councillor Stowe. Councillor Gunn, do you wish to speak?
No, a very comprehensive report was given to us in the briefing. It's great to see the grants being used. Grants are vital to our community and moving it forward. So I'm really pleased to see that there's a fair degree of scrutiny that goes with handing out of grants and the reconciliation afterwards. And it's great to see so many people taking the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe, do you wish to speak?
Yes, please. So, yeah, I think that's a comprehensive report and the grant's really important to our community as well. I'm really pleased to see that seniors are applying for grants and the seniors groups keep going. Also, I think that we've expanded our grants program, which I'm also pleased to see, the environmental grants, but also the business grants, because I think it's important as well as alongside the community. I think it's important that our businesses expand and are supported as well. So I did look at this quite closely, and also the number of individual grants. I'm not sure that it listed what they're actually for, but I assume that they're for young people engaging in sports. That's traditionally what they've been for. So there's quite a lot of those individual grants. So I'm really pleased also to see if people are engaging and taking advantage of the grants that are available. I often get questions about how do we apply for grants and we don't know how to do that. So I think it would be good if we could make it more obvious, or perhaps engage more people to come to our grant program, our grant application groups. So I think the workshops are 100% fantastic. So, but I think the grant team's doing a pretty good job, and especially it's important for community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to thank the grants team for the significant work that they've done to date. 80 applications, fantastic. One of the feedback that I will give you is that I do a lot of community engagement, and our senior residents, especially those in which have been assisted by the grants team with the application of grants for their clubs, are very overt in relation to their appreciation for the significant work that they've been assisted with through the facilitation of those grants. So, Chair, I'm in favour of positive voting for this particular motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I want to talk about just supporting the Environmental Works Grants Program, because obviously with Whittlesea, it's a very green suburb once you get past, or a green municipality once you get past Mernda, a lot of rural space up there. And through in council's own land and in conservation zones, we do a lot of good work. But it's great to see that on those private spaces and private lands that we're supporting the rural community to really engage in that environmental work. So it's great to see there were so many applicants there and that it was very successful. So it was just good to see that in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Seeing none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried unanimously. 5.7, the delivery of the aquatics and leisure component of the regional sports precinct in Mernda. And I'll now hand over to Agata Shimoliski, Director of Community Wellbeing, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. This report responds to a resolution from the July 2022 council meeting when the business case for a regional sports and aquatic facility in Mernda was endorsed. At that time, council resolved that a further report on the delivery of stage 3, which is the aquatics and leisure component of the facility, would be brought back to council for consideration in the current financial year. I'm now going to hand over to Anthony, who's the Manager of Active Places and Communities, to talk to tonight's report as well as recommendations for next steps.
Thank you, Ricardo, and good evening, councillors. The purpose of this report is to seek council's endorsement to consider the leisure and aquatics component of the regional sports precinct at Mernda at the August 2026 scheduled council meeting. providing additional time to fully access the project's funding position and future delivery options. The endorsed business case recognised that delivery of this component was contingent on securing significant external funding. While the Victorian Government has announced a $10 million contribution, this remains well below the funding assumptions contained in the business case. Given the scale of investment and the significant financial commitment that would be required from Council should additional external funding not be secured, officers consider that this additional time will enable councillors to fully assess the project's affordability, long-term financial implications and alternate delivery or scope options before making a final decision. The recommendation before Council provides the opportunity for this work to be undertaken, supporting an informed and responsible decision that balances community aspirations with Council's long-term financial sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Not seeing any. Move the recommendation. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Councillor Lappin, I'll call you.
Thank you, Chair. So, just speaking as the councillor for Mernda Ward, the proposed Mernda Aquatics Centre is one of the major issues in Mernda which I hear about, and it's one of the major pieces of infrastructure which is sought after by our residents. During the campaign for council in 2024, just knocking on doors and talking to people in Mernda, all the questions, or most of the questions, were about the pool. There was notably, though, a level of confusion around the timeframe of delivery and how it was going to be done and what was taking so long, etc. And so through no fault of those residents, since this project was first proposed in 2016, there has been little information available, and that information which is available hasn't cut through. And so we need to acknowledge that shortfall, and I want to take this opportunity today to explain where this proposal is at internally and what still needs to be considered. And so Stage 3 of the Regional Sports Precinct with the pool is the largest infrastructure proposal in the City of Whittlesea's history. It's a mammoth project that requires considerable funds that a rate-capped growth council like ours can't deliver alone without huge demands on our budget. The initial proposal in 2016, of course, could not account for the huge rise in construction and material costs in the post-COVID-19 environment, and the uptick in cost is what led to the 2022 decision by the administration to defer any commitment to Stage 3 until 2026. This council has inherited a project and responsibility to try to deliver it from a time with very different circumstances, and our challenges as an area to keep pace with growth are now only more difficult. I know that some residents will ask why the pool can't go ahead right now, and will be frustrated by this delay to August for the final decision or a consideration. Delivery of infrastructure of this scale is never easy, and we need to ensure that we're covering all bases as we go through all the data. I also want to speak to some questions raised by certain residents. There are, of course, examples of other councils which have delivered aquatic facilities more recently, and these examples can also frustrate as some of these areas don't look too different from our own. I can say that recent projects in Darebin and Banyule are built upon and are upgrades to existing facilities with lots of the groundworks and supporting infrastructure already built. The proposed Mernda pool will, of course, be starting from scratch, and all the groundworks needed to be done and adding considerably more to the price. This motion today, which defers this decision to August, will give this council a real opportunity to fully explore all options and impacts of the project. We need to take our time with these options and make sure we're doing everything in our powers to produce a quality community outcome. I think a project of this scale, it should not be the sole responsibility of local government, and we need to work out more ways we can partner with all levels of government to fulfil our obligations to residents to provide quality infrastructure. I, of course, acknowledge the $10 million commitment from the state government and will continue to advocate for more opportunities to work together. I also want to acknowledge the work and commitment of some Mernda residents in starting a petition to get more eyes on this issue. I do, however, want to remind a small minority of those residents to conduct yourselves in this campaign respectfully and work constructively with Council. There has been some public commentary made by particular members of this advocacy group about members of this council, which I do not believe further the cause of this project and are quite personal and inappropriate. I think this council and everyone in Mernda want great outcomes for our community, and we need to remember about how we engage on issues is equally as important as the issue itself. I'm also happy to discuss this project or any Mernda issue with anyone and remind our residents to reach out if everyone's sure or need clarity around anything that affects them. I want to assure the residents of Mernda, which I am committed to pursuing this project and finding a way forward. I also want to acknowledge that I'm sitting here today because of the support of those people in Mernda, and part of that support was to push for this project. I want you to know that exactly what I will intend to do, and will work with my fellow councillors, officers and our wider community to achieve the best outcome. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Gunn, seconder.
Yes, thank you. Since the day I moved into Doreen, and yes, Mernda and Doreen share the same postcode, 3754, all I have heard about is how we need a pool. When I decided that I was going to run as a candidate for council, I did some training at Trades Hall, and my project was all about my stump speech and work around community engagement and advocacy, and the pool was front and centre of that. It is an exceptionally important issue to the people of our postcode, and it is one of the advocacy projects that we need to continue. This is not something that can be left alone to council to provide. This is something that is going to take all levels of government, and the time that we're taking to move it back to the August meeting will allow us some of that time to explore options and advocate strongly, especially in the lead up to the state election. Thank you.
Councillor Corwell.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Stage 3 of the Regional Sports Precinct, particularly the aquatics and leisure component, represents a significant commitment that warrants careful and prudent scrutiny from all councillors. With this in mind, I support and urge this matter to be brought back to the council meeting on the 18th of August. It is important to note that previous commitments have been contingent on a 50-50 funding partnership with the state and federal government, of which only $10 million has been secured to date. I ask the councillors thoroughly consider and investigate all available options so that we are equipped with the necessary evidence, information and costings to make a fully informed decision in the best interest of the community. Thank you very much.
Other speakers? Councillor Lenberg.
Thank you. I live around the corner from the Mill Park Aquatic Centre, and I believe that pools are a great benefit to any community that they're built in. Obviously, we don't have the money as council to be able to provide this facility in its current form, but I'm hoping with the additional time that we can look at potentially a reduction in scope to deliver something for the community. I think we almost shoot ourselves in the foot. We talk about an aspirational development, so we've gone to the community and the community has given feedback. I liken it to my mate. He's got a 16-year-old, he's getting a car, and he said to her, "What sort of car do you want?" And she said, "I want a BMW." She's getting a 10-year-old Toyota. So I think that we really need to consider when we speak to our community that, yes, we'd love a 50-metre pool, yes, we'd love a water slide, whatever it is, to be able to deliver for the community. Without the support of the state and federal government, we're never going to get there. I honestly feel like this should be a partnership with a commercial venture. From my perspective, if a commercial venture needs to charge a certain amount for people to get in, we'd be better off giving people vouchers for the next 10 years. It's certainly not going to cost us the same amount of money that it's going to deliver this project in its current format. So I absolutely support the motion. The additional time will give us more space to be able to look at what is possible. And I absolutely feel like we need to deliver something soon, just not in its current format.
Other speakers? Councillor McLendon.
Thanks, Chair. I'm starting to wonder what the state government's actually doing for Whittle City, to be honest, because last time we sat here, there was however many 1,300 holes that haven't been filled in, cars are dodging, our suspensions are going, we've got police stations closing down. I mean, we're just copping it left, right and centre. We've got false promises. We've got a federal Labor member giving us $1.6 million for the RSL in Doreen. What do we do? What do we do with it? It's not enough to have a standalone. Like, we're being given lollipops, right? And we're being told that everything's all right, but things are getting worse in one of the biggest growth areas in Victoria. And this is the sort of infrastructure, when you've got 5 Labor MPs sitting on their hands, it should be committing to. I mean, the more this drags out, the more cost it is to council just planning the silly thing. And as Councillor Lenberg said, this is the critical infrastructure that we need. And we can't just expect that we're going to rubber stamp urban sprawls, which we don't even have any say in anymore. The planning has even been taken in by the state government. And here we are trying to do the planning for the state government with cap in hand. So I feel for Councillor Lappin and Councillor Gunn's correct. This is one of those issues that's been going on and on and on. And at some point we need a commitment, not just an election announcement that just rolls off, rolls off and 4 years later gets re-announced. You know, this city's getting completely ripped off by the state government and we're not getting our fair share of the pie. It's as simple as that. But I am pleased that councillors now are starting to get motivated to start putting pressure on these people, because this is the problem when you get, and at the risk of being political, when you get safe seats, regardless of what party you're in, they begin to treat the people with contempt. So when the slippery suits in Spring Street, you know, divvy up the pie, they go, oh, we've already got those seats, they don't need anything, we've got them, and you're being taken for granted. It's time to shake it up, it's time to get a commitment on this, and I do hope that we have more information before us on the 18th of August so that we can have clarity for our community, and the state government have really got to start being honest whether or not they actually have Whittlesea on the radar or not. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
I just want to echo what Councillor McLennan said. I really want to express my disappointment that this process has at times been used by some members of the community and members of Parliament to politically point and comment on the matter that is still being under consideration by us as council. It isn't as straightforward as depicted or portrayed. The community benefits that the Aquatic Centre can provide was well documented in 2022 in the business case, but pools aren't cheap. They're extremely, extremely expensive, and the funding from other levels of government is not coming through. So in fact, it is my belief that pools should be funded purely by the state or federal government. Our community expects us to undertake the proper due diligence and carefully consider all the available information and the options to deliver or not deliver to stage 3. So I just want to make sure that the people out there listening and the community members that are raging on their social media, they don't understand just how much of an impact this decision will have, not just for us here at council, but for the future shape of our municipality for decades to come, especially impacting future budgets. So we really need to take a step back, take this a little bit slower than anticipated, and have the community and our members of Parliament on both sides as well understand just how important this decision is and to give us that space. Thanks.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Stowe.
So I don't have a lot to say on this. I think that it is a very important piece of infrastructure. It is a large piece of infrastructure. And my concern is around, I agree with the other sentiments around the table with Councillor Zinni and Councillor Lappin and Councillor Gunn. It is important to their wards, but my concern is that 2 months, I still don't feel it will be enough for us to actually consider all the options or what options are on the table, because it is such a big piece of infrastructure. So my concern is about, I still think it's a short time, that's all.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I will put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. I'll now move on to item 5.8, the Hawkstone Village West Development Plan. I'll hand over to Emma Appleton, the Director of Planning and Development, to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, councillors. I'm joined here by Liam, our Manager of Strategic Futures, and Justin, our Senior Strategic Planner. Tonight, we are pleased to present a proposed development plan for the land at 1175 and 1215 Plenty Road, South Morang, for Council's consideration. The development plan, which has been prepared by the owner and developer of the site, proposes a future residential neighbourhood comprising approximately 230 homes, which will include detached dwellings and townhouses. Future residents will benefit from the close proximity to the Hawkstone train station and existing services in the area, including schools and open spaces. The plan also incorporates a modest affordable housing contribution, which supports Council's affordable housing objectives. The plan provides positive environmental outcomes and supports Council's objectives in the planning for well-designed and livable neighbourhoods for our community. I'll now hand over to Justin for more detail.
Thank you, Emma. The Hawkstow Village West Development Plan, which has been submitted to Council for approval, will facilitate a residential development on the land of approximately 230 new homes on a site that is zoned for residential use and development. The plan will also provide for a connected street network, pedestrian connections, and will also integrate a heritage homestead on the house that is known as Marilla. Consistent with state and local planning policy, the development plan supports the increased diversity of housing options for the community and responds to its location close to the Hawkstow train station by providing smaller and more affordable housing products close to that transport infrastructure. The plan also includes a voluntary housing contribution, affordable housing contribution of one dwelling, which will contribute to Council's affordable housing aspirations. Further opportunities for affordable housing will then be investigated at the planning permit stage. The plan also protects river redgum trees on the land within future council open space reserves. Access to the development plan area will be provided via the existing local street network and includes upgrades to the MacArthur's Road and Poppy Drive intersection. No access is proposed directly to Plenty Road. However, the plan also provides for future upgrades to the Plenty Road MacArthur's Road intersection. A pedestrian path is proposed to connect the site with the train station to the east and the existing shared path network. A public consultation process was undertaken for a period of 4 weeks. The plan was exhibited to nearby residents and to relevant authorities. The plan provides for an appropriate response to the outcomes of this consultation process. The plan has been prepared with regards to the Whittlesea planning scheme and with regards to state planning policy, including Plan for Victoria and housing policy, which aims to increase the supply of housing, particularly on sites that are close to public transport and other infrastructure. Given that the proposed development plan is consistent with and also implements state and local planning policy, the report recommends that Council approve the Hawkstow Village West Development Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Being none, I'll ask for a mover. Everyone's jumping. Councillor Taylor, you're moving.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move as the motion the officer's recommendation as presented.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Lappin. Councillor Taylor, your ward.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very proud of my ward. I'd like to, I don't want to elaborate any further on the significant work that our council officers have done and have just summed up in relation to the presentation of this particular motion. But I will say this. This will be a significant contribution to the South Marine Ward and the City of Whittlesea, and it will also greatly assist in relation to the inclusion of affordable housing within our community. And for those reasons, I fully support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lappin, is the seconder?
Thank you, Chair. I think it might be nearly my ward as well. It's right on the line. I think we share it. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. We'll share it. It's fine.
We'll sort out the
I'll visit. Don't worry.
We'll sort out the territorial claims later, please.
We'll sort it out right now. No, so I like this development and seeing more density of housing near public transport and the parklands. I think is a really great way to provide for the growth in our area and provides more options for people looking to get into their first home. The future lifestyle that this development offers is very positive, and I hope that this development can be a real example of how to do density well. There are, of course, a few things about this development I would like to see improved as it takes shape to make sure it reaches its true potential. I would, of course, like to see the amount of affordable housing made available reflect the genuine need of our area. I've got some notes here which I'll relay. The need for affordable housing is significant in our community. At the time this council endorsed our affordable housing plan, the City of Whittlesea needed 5,173 additional affordable homes and is forecasted to need an additional 8,900 new affordable homes by 2041. To meet this need, we at least need 15% of all new homes in the area to be affordable. It is in this large residential development like this, which will be delivering approximately 230 new homes, that offer the greatest potential to help address this need. I acknowledge that the development will include a small contribution to community housing, and the developer commits to exploring future opportunities for affordable housing. This is, of course, welcome, but clearly more needs to be done to line this up with our goals for the area. Therefore, I respectfully urge the developer to commit to more affordable homes. Our council aspires to 15% of all homes to be affordable as part of our larger developments in partnership with the community housing sector. I also urge the Victorian Government to provide the tools to councils to mandate more affordable housing and to incentivise industry to deliver. I also want to note the protection of the heritage listed homestead is also welcome in this development, and I hope that the new development can be designed in such a way as to reflect the heritage and character of the area and be an asset that is valued not only by the residents who will eventually live there, but as the community as a whole as well. Another key factor, it's a big night of talk from me, another key factor of our community that I believe needs to be addressed in this development is the environmental sustainability in the face of a changing climate. It is great to see in this development a range of performance measures which relate to environmentally sustainable design and integrated water management, which will be implemented as part of the development. Environmental and sustainable developments do not need to be complex, and a lot can be achieved by initiatives which are such as a light-coloured roof or water tanks being mandated for all new homes. These simple changes can greatly improve our home's efficiency, comfort, and environmental impact. Therefore, once again, I urge the developer in this instance to follow through on these initiatives. And I'd also like to thank the planning team and officers who continue to have these negotiations with these developers for these important outcomes. I think the team are doing a great job, and I approve this motion, and I hope that those changes and those kind of more potential is reached as it goes forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Chair. As a councillor, housing and council's role in enabling and facilitating its delivery is something I care deeply about. In addressing the housing crisis, the City of Whittlesea carries an added responsibility as one of the fastest growing municipalities in the state, particularly in helping unlock much needed supply. However, supply cannot be measured by dwelling numbers alone. Every planning application, precinct structure plan and development plan shapes not just where people live, but the quality of the life they experience. We recognise the urgency of this challenge, the pressures on young families entering the market, renters facing affordability constraints, and key workers being priced out of the community they serve. Poorly planned developments today become the legacy problem of tomorrow. As councils, we must ensure we are building communities, not simply constructing houses. In that context, I'm pleased to support the Hawkstow Village West Development Plan. While it delivers an additional 230 dwellings, an important, if modest, contribution to the supply, it also demonstrates a clear commitment to quality outcomes. The plan responds thoughtfully in delivering sustainable, livable urban design, strong amenity and preservation of green space. I'm also encouraged that officers will continue to work with the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung Cultural Heritage Corporation to protect sites of significance. The proponent has acknowledged advice from the Department of Transport and Planning regarding the future upgrades to MacArthur Road and Plenty Road intersection, and I'm satisfied that the appropriate risk mitigation measures are in place to address potential historic contamination. I'm confident Hawkstow Village West will grow into a thriving and well-connected community for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application that's a good example. It clearly demonstrates what can be achieved when everyone is willing to work together. It's a positive step, and I hope that we can continue to see more opportunities like this come up in the future developments across our municipality. The reality is that affordable housing is becoming harder and harder, and many people in our community are feeling that pressure. So that's why it's encouraging to see these developers like Your Land? Yep. Your Land making a contribution. So the affordable housing for this particular development, it's not mandatory. And that's one of the things that with our land at our council, we allocate that particular percentage of social and affordable housing. But privately owned developer land, you know, it's up to them. They don't have to. So I'm really pleased to see that Your Land is doing this. But this also clearly shows that we need to continue to advocate to the state that we want this to be something that happens in every occurrence, not just a case by case. We want to see developers contribute a percentage of affordable housing so that at least the people that are buying these houses have a chance to get that particular discount. We can't solve this on our own, so that's why we would love to see the state come to town on this one, because addressing housing affordability, it is a challenge and it's not as simple, and blanketing it across all different developers. So not one single developer can really take on that burden. So I'm glad to see this, and I'd hope that we can continue to advocate and we have that for our state government. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item 5.9, the public toilet plan. I'll now hand over to Harishdeep Singh, the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, councillors again. I have with me Tanya Murray, who is Unit Manager, Infrastructure Planning and Sustainable Projects. We are here to present updated public toilet plan. Safe, clean, accessible public toilets are vital to ensuring people of all ages and abilities, genders can confidently use and enjoy our public spaces. The public toilet plan will guide the planning, design and provision of public toilets across our municipality for coming years. The plan has been shaped by community feedback, and I would like to extend our sincere thanks to community members who provided invaluable input in the development of the plan. So now I'll hand over to Tanya to take us through the report.
Thank you. The public toilet plan outlines the vision for public toilets in all areas of the municipality to strategically manage the planning and delivery of new and upgraded public toilet facilities. The plan provides prioritization and selection criteria for public toilet provision supported by the key guiding principles of well-located, accessible, equitable, and inclusive, and fit for purpose. Over the past year, extensive research and benchmarking have been undertaken, including a review of approaches adopted by other councils. We have sought input from a broad range of internal and external stakeholders and conducted 2 rounds of community consultation over a combined 6-week period. This included 10 pop-up engagement sessions and 2 online surveys and resulted in 477 community submissions. The most recent public exhibition of the draft plan, held from the 24th of April to the 10th of May 2026, received 48 survey responses and 3 written submissions. Overall, 60% of respondents expressed support for the plan and its guiding principles. The public toilet plan does not identify specific locations for new public toilets. Rather, it provides the framework for assessing and prioritizing future investment. Feedback received regarding specific locations during the consultation period has been recorded and referred for consideration through the capital works planning process and will be assessed against the project selection criteria established within the public toilet plan. The plan reflects the cumulative input received through community engagement, a gender impact assessment, best practice research, and further consultation with internal and external stakeholders, including maintenance staff, designers, and contractors. The plan provides a structured framework for assessing locations, prioritizing investment, and supporting informed decision-making. The priority actions identified are practical, achievable, and aligned with resources, while key design standards have been embedded to promote safety, accessibility, hygiene, and dignity in every public toilet delivered by Council. Today, we present the recommendations outlined in the report, which are to approve the updated public toilet plan, note the feedback received from community engagement undertaken from the 24th of April to the 10th of May, and thank all submitters who contributed to the development of the public toilet plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Councillor Lindbergh.
About our loos. Over Christmas, I got to travel across Australia and went to New South Wales, South Australia and WA. I became very familiar with public toilets, and they're all different. But I just wanted to ask, are our rules in Victoria tougher than other places in Australia? Because I noticed that their public loos were amazing, very open, no smell, accessible, but they weren't as solid and structurally sound as ours look. So is there a difference across the nation, or do we all have to follow the same rules related to our loos?
In terms of like building configuration and building standards, we're guided by the National Construction Code, so in that way, but Victoria has weather conditions that other elements of Australia obviously wouldn't have. So we build to those standards. In our municipality in particular, we tend to build them quite robust because of vandalism and so on. We have a growth suburb, as you know, obviously, where elements can be quite far away from each other. So again, there's a surveillance issue, an activation issue. So we do have to build them quite robust. But generally, we're guided by the National Construction Code and our climate.
Other questions? Being none, recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation as put before us. As
Could
written.
ask what you were moving, but I think that would be
No,
risky.
it's all right.
Sorry. Thanks, Councillor Linton. Second. I'll move on. Sorry, Councillor Stowe. Councillor McLendon.
I think any more puns from here, we might be going downhill. All good. I'll leave it as it is. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe, do you wish to speak?
I think that the toilet plan, I should have put my hand up much faster so there was none of these puns. I think that a toilet plan is a really sensible idea. I know over the years there's been a lot of questions, a lot of people want toilets willy-nilly kind of thing. So I think it's really sensible to have this overarching plan so that people can feed into it. And if people do want toilets in specific places, and it was one of the first things that residents came to me on, was to build a public toilet in a place where women needed access to the toilet. So, but I think having this overarching plan is really sensible. So that's why I'm seconding this motion.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Cool.
Oh, look, thank you, Chair. I didn't really intend on speaking on this particular agenda item, but I do feel the need to, I guess, commend the council for being mature and avoiding the puns and the dad jokes around the table for the most part. We have. This is really important work, and I think when the rubber hits the road and we have those conversations with the community members, it is something that they really describe and discuss with us about the importance of being able to access public space and having access to toilets. Often if you are not having small children myself, but understanding if you're going to a park, that thought process is there. Do I have changing facilities? Do I have toilets that I can access? Because in a moment's notice, you'll have a child that needs to instantly use the facilities. So this is not just a plan around developing important assets in our community. It's also a plan about that drives access to community or community spaces. It also outlines and highlights the importance of changing places facilities. And I know through just some of my very basic interactions with people that work in disability networks and work in the disability space, when you have profoundly disabled people, there is a lot of thought that goes into, well, what are the places that I can go to with my client, with my child, with my family member, where I'll have access to those changing places facilities. So I think this document's really important in terms of, yeah, we can have a bit of a joke about it, and we have avoided that largely because we really understand through engagement with our community how important this is about setting, standards around what the facilities are, where we prioritise them, how we assess those locations and assess and place an evidence base behind it, and then indeed roll out that infrastructure and talking about maintaining it. So I think it's really important work, and I commend the officers for doing that and look forward to its implementation. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other speakers? I just want to note that despite the puns and whatever, the important thing is one of the guiding factors in this was the Epping Wollert Nepalese community particularly took up a number of petitions for their group of elderly people that get together at a park and need a toilet. and their focus on their functions and their New Year functions, etc., that I've and other councils have attended on a number of occasions, have all been focused about a toilet. And to one extent in the East Wollert area, they hired a portable toilet to make sure that they actually could service their community. And I think that that was a credit to them to make sure that they were looking after their community. But again, it shows the absolute need for toilet facilities for those groups to use our parks. So just note that. I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. And it's unanimous. Thank you. Item 5.10. I think...
Yes, thanks. Chair, I do have a conflict of interest on this one. Thank you.
You need to express the conflict.
Well, it's about me.
Sorry?
It's about my annual leave.
Yeah, it's about your annual leave.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Zinni. I'll now invite Jacinta Stevens, the Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. This report is fairly straightforward. It is in accordance with the Local Government Act, whereby councillors can seek formal approval to be on leave of absence for a period of time. Councillor Zinni is seeking council approve her leave for the period 10th of August to the 21st of August inclusive. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Gunn?
Can I just ask in relation to this, is this because Councillor Zinni is not going to be able to attend meetings, or should this be done on all occasions?
It is up to individual councillors. Councillor Zinni through this period will miss the August council meeting and briefings, etc. What it does mean is being formal approval by the council, it will be noted in minutes as on approved leave of absence versus an apology, which is just when you don't turn up or you just advise us the day before, etc. So this is probably the more formal way of seeking leave.
Okay. Any other questions? None. The mover. Councillor Labrador.
I'd like to move the officer recommendation as is.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Cole. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Labrador?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Zinni needs to be brought back into the room. Thank you. There's no notices of motion under point 6. There's no urgent, or is there any items of urgent business? Seeing none. Acting CEO, any items of urgent business? No. Move on to 8, the council report, and I'll call on councillors to read your report of activities since the last council meeting. Councillor Caldwell, can you begin by reading your report?
Thank you, Chair. I'll start by saying on Sunday the 24th of May, I attended Layla Tennis Club, where we attended the launch of the Indigenous Garden. Indigenous Garden was funded as part of our community grants program, and it was a wonderful event, engaging with the club members there, the president, the various other committee members, and participating in some low vision and impaired vision tennis. And some other activities, some tree plantings and various other activities there. It was great to see some of our colleagues in attendance. On the 26th of May, I attended the National Sorry Day event here at the Civic Centre and participated in the Sorry Walk. Obviously, the 26th and the Sorry Day is the anniversary of the handing them down of the Bringing Them Home report, which outlines some key recommendations around addressing forced removal of Aboriginal children and acknowledges the intergenerational harm that continues to have to this day. And I thank also the council team for conducting that event. On Sunday, the 31st of May, I attended the Victorian Aboriginal Remembrance Service at the Shrine of Remembrance. It was a sombre service where we acknowledged the many Indigenous warriors that have served this nation over the many battles and campaigns that we have fought. Again, acknowledging the RSL and the various groups that came together to put that event on. On the 10th of June, I was to appear on Plenty Valley FM. Unfortunately, I missed the call twice from Darcy, so I do apologise profusely to the listeners of Plenty Valley FM who lit up the switchboard, apparently not hearing my interview. And indeed to Darcy, who had to fill that time, so I apologise profusely. On the 11th of June was the hearing of submissions on the proposed Brookwood lease to the Doreen RSL. And I'd like to take a moment to, I guess, just highlight and thank the community for their participation in that in a very dignified way. I think sometimes in our modern era, we can engage in discourse which is less than ideal, which is, we talk about civility in politics. And it was a real pleasure to see the way that people were able to conduct themselves while having divergent and passionate views. They were able to give coherent arguments about what their position was on that, and it was really refreshing to see that. So I thank everyone who participated in that. And finally, on the 14th of June, Sunday, I headed down to Mill Park Football Club for the Big Freeze, where they were able to raise just a little short of $15,000, which is an amazing achievement for a local sports club in the fight for MND. I'm sure you'll hear more about that from my colleague, Councillor Zani, who also joined me on that event. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Zini.
Thank you, Chair. I went down with our advocacy team to Parliament House and we spoke to a couple of MPs there in relation to our need for assertive outreach for our homeless, and we wanted to get some clarity as well that Whittlesea is included in the $26 million dedicated outreach teams that have been announced in the state budget. There's 9 teams and we really don't want to be overlooked. We need homeless outreach. We need assertive homeless outreach in our municipality, especially in the areas of Lalor, Bundoora, Mill Park, and now Whittlesea. So we really want to thank, or I want to thank Council for Homeless Persons, Moss, Haven Home Safe and Whittlesea Community Connections for joining us. And I'd like to also thank the MPs that were there that meeting as well. I was also in attendance at the Mill Park Football and River Gum Cricket Club event on Sunday to raise funds for the MND. It was great to see both candidates for the Mill Park Electric there. So we have Lily D'Ambrosio and Joel Drysdale in attendance. So that was great to see them together. And Lily D'Ambrosio get ice bucketed. Thank you to Nathan, President of the Football Club, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lindberg.
Thank you. I want to speak tonight about the challenges facing our business.
Turn your microphone on, please.
I want to speak tonight about the challenges facing our business community based on my experience with the Business Advisory Panel and the meeting held on the 4th of June at Council offices. Running a business in Victoria has never been tougher. The administrative burden on SMEs alone is overwhelming. And in the city of Whittlesea, despite our thriving business community, there are serious barriers that must be addressed. One of the highest priorities raised by members of the panel is the lack of skilled workers. Pat Cherry from Interroll explained that while they can find engineers, many are not willing to commute to Epping. Many of their recent hires are from other parts of Victoria or interstate, requiring significant remote work arrangements, and this does not support our local community. Amir Ajman from Edlin Foods also highlighted the difficulty in finding employees and made a critical point about transport. There is little transport infrastructure to get workers to the office. Many end up walking along Cooper Street, which is a long, unsafe walk from the station to Edlin Foods. If Epping is to prosper as a business and community hub, it requires greater investment in infrastructure. Businesses in the area are asking for better transport, better connectivity and better access to skilled labour. We also discussed the potential for Victorian Government to mandate the right to work from home for 2 days per week. If this legislation is introduced, it will further hamper businesses. Many roles require people to be physically present, especially operational roles that cannot be remote. This type of legislation is dangerous, and it is my belief that government should stay out of our businesses. We should be supporting businesses to thrive and grow. SMEs are responsible for around 2/3 of private sector employment, making them the lifeblood of the local economy. Council has a strong focus on supporting the commercial sector. We must help businesses advocate for better infrastructure, and we must work with training and tertiary institutions to deliver the right skills to support these growing businesses in the City of Whittlesea. I also want to thank Emma and her team for the work that they do with the Business Advisory Panel. We have some really great conversations. There are a lot of issues and problems that are brought up, but there's also a lot of camaraderie and discussions about the good things that are happening within the City of Whittlesea. I've probably only got one meeting to go before I hand over the baton to someone else. But it's certainly a fantastic panel, and I'd love to see my colleagues get on there and learn more about businesses in the City of Whittlesea. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I did too attend the Business Advisory Panel, and as someone who employs 10 full-time employees, I do appreciate the work that Council's doing, and obviously Councillor Lindbergh's remarks that there are some significant challenges that we are facing as a business, and I share a lot of the burden that some of the other businesses around the table at the advisory panel have as well. So, you know, it's affecting every business in every industry, whether it's state or federal legislation or even local legislation as well. But I do enjoy the Business Advisory Panel and the time that we get to spend there. In terms of the work that I did throughout the month since the last meeting, I was able to attend the Laylaw Neighbourhood House on Volunteers Week. They were celebrating, volunteers and the work that they're able to do, whether it's people volunteering for the SES, firefighters, carers who take care of people living with disability, and a wide variety of other jobs that, though unpaid, were appreciated on that day. So I appreciate all the work that the Laylaw Neighbourhood House did, and especially Michael from the community development team, so from council. So I appreciate that. I was able to attend the national simultaneous story time where we got to read Luna Roo. I was up in Donnybrook. So I was able to attend that, and my son, Elijah, really loves Luna Roo. And, you know, it's a story that is, it's told amongst of time, but obviously across time. It's something that you hear from story to story, but it's a story of overcoming challenge and rising to expectation, and I think that resonates with kids. And I think we need to, teach kids how to rise to the occasion, especially now more than ever. I was able to attend the Laylaw Men's Shed and got to have a chat with the president and the vice president there, and the challenges that they're facing. I think I made a post about this, but the main thing that is that there's a lot of men who are disaffected in the community. There's a lot of men who are unable to find mateship and camaraderie, with their neighbours, with their family, or even in their friends. I think we live in a more isolated world despite having social media. So having men's sheds, even if you're young, you're allowed to attend. Having men's sheds is important and is vital to our community. So I appreciate the work that they're doing at the men's shed. I was alongside Councillor Caldwell and Lappin and Taylor at the hearing of submissions, and I do appreciate the civility in participating in democracy, and I appreciate all the people that brought their concerns regarding the RSL and particularly Dance Power, but obviously the Brookwood Community Centre. I appreciate all the time that you spent in putting the submissions and communicating with us. And lastly, I was able to attend the calling of the VEC for Chaman Tuari. For she wasn't there, so we got to, sit around and hear the VEC delegate call the election. So look, when Councillor Tuari comes on board, I'm sure we can get some good work done, and we're hoping to see her soon. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. I'll try and keep this very brief tonight. I had a lot of fun filming what I call the bicycle video. Hopefully everyone has seen that on the City of Whittlesea website. And yes, I am clumsy, as you will see me bump the bike into the bike rack. I attended the Ladies' Day at the Lorimer Football Club. It was a fabulous day, a bunch of women getting together, letting their hair down, dressing up in our fancy dresses, and having a lot of fun. There were some raffles, silent auctions, and I was very happy to win a lucky square prize. And it was a voucher at Julia's, which is a new restaurant in the Lorimer Shops. Fabulous spot, and thoroughly enjoyed taking my brother out for dinner with that voucher. We've had our usual meetings, trainings, briefings. It feels like there's a constant revolution of which one we're at. We've also been very busy with the CMAC and the recruitment process for a new CEO, and just the general phone calls, emails, follow-ups with a few of the residents from my ward that had some issues that I've been able to follow up on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McLendon.
Thanks, Chair. Been out and about, I don't know why, but I enjoy door knocking, talking to people, hearing their stories, all these great things. But there is a common theme, and it's across all levels. It's the cost of living, absolutely. And I think, as Councillor Lenberg was alluding to it before, like in the business sector, we are the most over-regulated country in the world. It's really sad because, you know, in the last 10, 20 years, you know, things were less complicated. You could, you know, even 20 years ago, you probably have one income to hold a mortgage down, but all that's changed now. You need, you know, two incomes, the kids are going to childcare, the parents go one way and the other, and it, you know, defragments the family structure. And you're just looking at it now, and I'm thinking everything is going up. I was talking to, you know, Hearns Road, Tony at Jumpin' Beans. I just went on the way to school. I'll get me a little coffee and try and support him. And I've said it, I think, in a different forum, but it costs about, a cafe has to take about $458,000 to clear $58,000. So for every $5 note that's going over the counter, they're only making one gold coin. So you're talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're just working for charity, well, for the government. And then on Thursday and Friday, you're hoping to make a living. And then it's pretty diabolical because the gap between the haves and have-nots is very real, and it's happening quickly underneath our noses. And you know, we used to point at the bad parts about America, how they could have such a disparity in their social structure, but it's happening rapidly right under our nose. And you know, we have to be really cognizant, especially going into deliberations for the budget for next year, that we're going to have to chop things. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's going to be harsh, but everybody's pulling back. Governments have to pull back, you know, but we're selling a public service that is just completely, you know, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're involving themselves more and more in our life. And I think that, you know, it's very difficult in a local level of government to be able to make the changes that we need in a society, but we can certainly lead by example, or at least, you know, look after a little patch, which I believe this organisation is doing. I think Whittlesea City Council is, you know, and I've had a lot to do with a lot of councils over the years, and I think, as I've said before, that we are operating at best practice in many facets of an organisational structure. But what we're seeing across the city now is there's going to be an increase in petty crime. I was at Eld the other day where someone had walked out and just kept walking because they needed food, and it's really sad because, you know, humans are ineptly good and they wouldn't want to do that. But what do you do when you've got people to feed? It's, you know, and this is where, you know, we're heading as a society. Homeless people, 130,000 across, you know, Victoria. So, you know, I think there's a lot of people putting brave faces on out there, but something seismically has to shift, and I think council can help, at least on a local level, to support where we can, lift somebody up where we can, lead by examples, but we've really got to start looking at our regulations. We've just got to let people breathe, get out of our lives, let us have individual responsibility, let us be a merit-based society again, not one that's governed every step of the way by government telling us what we can and can't do. Another family that I know are moving to Bali. another family's moving to Thailand because it's actually cheaper now. So, this lucky country that we once had, is people are starting to scratch their head and say, well, we can't survive the way it's going anymore. So I really do hope there's an equal and opposite reaction in a fairly short space of time. There's been a little bit of banter about, me running against Point Hansen back in 2009. There's nothing to report on other than I gave her a big hug on Saturday, and we've let bygones be bygones. And I hope it doesn't impact anything on the council front, but I'll keep you posted. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Ken. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just get my... Sorry, just get my notes. I can't focus now. I'm too confused. So I attended a re-leaf planting day with the Mayor and Council staff where we planted a variety of native plants in parts of the Bundjalunga Parklands. This area will be supported by a huge amount of plantings over the next several years and will be absolutely stunning and provide a great home for all our wildlife, but also, of course, a great park for everyone in the city of Whittlesea. I attended the opening of the new Early Learning Centre at Mernda Hills Christian College. This building is amazing. I was really impressed with the design and the details of the space. And I felt very confident the children who attend that centre will be enriched and will love their time there. This centre was, of course, made possible by a large contribution by the state government, and it's great to see the investment in our younger residents. I'll also state that the catering there was amazing. The catering was so good. We've got to get their catering there. I actually have their card in my pocket, so I'll give that to you. I attended the North Circular Economy Forum, which was hosted here at PRAC, and supported by Northlink and Hume City Council. This was a great forum to look at all the ways our local industries here are already innovating and looking at new ways to green their supply chains, to recycle or reuse byproducts and find ways of making our materials go further. We've also discussed new ideas, on how to expand this sector and just how important it is for the future of our region, and I felt very positive about the future direction of green business in this area. We also attended the opening of the new Indigenous Garden Adelaide Law Tennis Club with the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. This was supported by our Community Grants program and will be used to create a space for locals to connect and spend time together. It was great to see Minister Giles there as well and hear a great speech from the club ambassador, Uncle Ian Goolagong. Great work to the club committee on such a great initiative and such a successful day. Bit of a tone shift, though. I also wanted to take this opportunity to alleviate some concerns people have in Mernda. And so the issue is the opening hours of the Mernda Police Station. It's a fairly hot topic. It's on all the community pages. I see a petition going around on the windows of cafes and everything there. And what I'm about to say is public knowledge. This has been released, but I just wanted to just put it on the record here. So the opening hours of the admin desk have been changed in order to ensure there is enough resources to run police patrols and response vehicles. So basically, the administration desk at the police station is not open past certain hours, but that's to free up police officers to make sure that they are doing patrols and can respond there. So I will say that there are police in Mernda 24/7. They are available, and if you call the police in Mernda, you're getting a local police officer answering the call. So I think some residents took the closing of the desk as meaning that there was no police in the station. That's not true. There are police there, and Victoria Police are prioritising staff to actually be out there responding, not just as manning the admin desk. So I hope that alleviates some concerns in our community. And that is all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I can formally apologise to you for being territorial about my ward. I don't apologise for being an effective representative, but I do apologise for the way I've made that comment to you. I'd like to give my...
So who was it?
It's my ward, and we're going to fight about it later.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'd like to, just in no set order, give my report. I also turned up for the activity bicycle video. Rolled up, spoke to our media staff, and they told me to get on my bike. I said I just arrived. Anyway, notwithstanding that, that was a pretty good outlook, and as you know, that was put up on the City of Whittlesea site and got a good response. I've been invited to appear as a guest speaker at a national conference electronically next month. I've been told it's to 1,000 members, talking on illegal rubbish dumping, environmental crime. I've also attended 6 community group meetings. I also attended with other fellow councillors the Lunaroo book that we were talking about at Storytime at Mill Park, and I was accompanied by the CEO of the YPRL, and that was very effective and went over very well. Although it's amazing that when you're reading to a bunch of children, how intimidating that can be, as you know, Mayor. I also I've recommenced attending fellow council meetings, and I will be attending next Monday night on invitation by the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, Banyule Council's council meeting, where I'll be meeting with councillors. I've also, having advised Councillor Labrador of this, been invited and attended and spoke to a number of groups at the Laylaw Library, seniors groups, and that went over very well. And spoke to them on a number of issues that they raised, everything from trees to garbage bins to rubbish collection to the watch house at the local police station being secured as well. And I advised them of what the reporting process is for them. I also have, and I'm going back to, on invitation, to meet and speak with the Seniors Club for the Catholic Association, and I'm looking forward to doing that. A coffee with councillors, attended with you, Mayor, and also Deputy Mayor, spoke to a number of people, one of them, most of them being from Laylaw. One particular person, as I spoke with Councillor Labrador about this, raised an issue, been trying to deal with an issue with council. That issue was addressed through the coffee with council, reported. Our council staff dealt with it very effectively. When I was down in Laylaw, I went and spoke to that small business person, and she was very appreciative of the way council had addressed with that CEO, and was very glowing of the particular work the council officers had done. I've also attended the YPRL Risk Audit Committee, the City of Whittlesea Risk Audit Committee. I also attended the hearing submissions meeting. I've attended 4 council briefings and our training night. I'd also like to thank those members of the public who have been walking up to me and talking to me about different issues as they see me in the street. And I'd also like to, Mayor, acknowledge your significant work that you've been undertaking in relation to representing this council about the issues in relation to a growth municipality and the lack of funding that we're getting from the state government. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe.
So over the last month, I responded to residents' questions about Donnybrook Road and also about Grants Road and the potholes that are growing in Grants Road. So that's been a major concern for my residents in the North Ward. I attended a meeting last month or over this month of about 100 residents in Whittlesea and responded to their concerns around what's going on around Whittlesea. So that was really well received by the residents, listening to their concerns. I attended the men's shed, the Whittlesea men's shed, twice. Took Monitor Kingshot there as well, and also had lunch with the men at the men's shed. Also attended the women's shed, which is also at the Whittlesea men's shed. So spoke to the women. I'm really pleased to see that women were also utilising the space and using the tools. And sampled the Whittlesea Bakery's award-winning sausage rolls on a number of occasions. On Sunday, June the 14th, I presented a TED Talk, and I would like to thank Janine Morgan for listening to my TED Talk before I left, and really appreciated her feedback. I'd like to welcome Charman Tiwari when she comes, and I look forward to meeting with her and working with her when she gets here. I attended this financial services business event where there's around 60 business leaders that attended that financial and business services event in Epping, and it was centred around the Cooper Street precinct. And I take on board Councillor Lemberg's feedback about the lack of employees around the area, but there's really a lot of great development going on there and great opportunities, and it was well received, and a lot of connections were made by the businesses, and I had really positive feedback on that business event. So well done to the council officers that put that up. I was also part of National Simultaneous Storytime, so I read this Lunaroo book in Whittlesea to the Whittlesea Primary School students and the kindergarten students. So the book is about two teams playing like soccer, and they're all Australian animals. So there was kangaroos and wombats kicking goals, and it was really a fun book to read. And they had a couple of cockatoos that were commentators on the side, so it's quite hilarious. That's also really good to engage with the children. it can be a little bit daunting, but it was also lots of fun. So I had all the children write something in the front and back of my book, so that was really pleasing as well. So, and that's all I've got to report at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think they were galahs.
They didn't summon mine.
It was quite a fun book.
Yeah. Just to make a point, Councillor Stowe is in Houston and presenting that TED Talk that she referred to, and congratulations on that honour of producing that TED Talk. So, and we'll see you back in the country soon, provided they let you out. Okay, I'll begin mine. I attended the Link Community Transport Luncheon, the National Volunteers function run at Prac, the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Crete in Greece, and on both their function and also the wreath laying at the shrine, which has a direct impact because my father was involved in the Greece one. The multicultural Eid function run by Pashala Incorporated at the Memorial Hall, which was a wonderful group that hadn't been together previously, so they had a wonderful day. The Lawler Tennis Club, the Indigenous Garden, which the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Lappin and I attended, and the Lawler Tennis Club has been a bit of an institution down there, so a fantastic effort. That was followed by the National Sorry Day and with Charles Buchanan, who was a fantastic speaker. The simultaneous reading, as we talked about, and I still think it was glass, so I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and have a look at the book now. At the Law Library that I attended, which Councillor Labrador was very unhappy about because I got there first.
It's my ward.
The MAV State Council, which I attended with the acting CEO, who's decided she's never going to get that day back in her life. But again, it was a long, torturous day in some respects, but we got there. But I think it's also important that they've changed the structure, direction, which is good. We're getting a strategic sort of development rather than the individual motions, and those that are going to the ELGA conference in Canberra will suffer that consequence of long motions in debate. But importantly, I will get that report out in terms of all the resolutions once it's produced by the MAV, and all councillors will get a copy of it, and so that you understand what the resolutions were involved. The Victorian Aboriginal Remembrance Service at the Shrine with the Deputy Mayor. We also ran into the BAPS community and had a long chat at the function. The U3A celebrated a huge day down at their new building at the old Lawler Tech site. So it was a good experience for me going back, I suppose, of that age group. They've said they've got a membership ready for me. The Financial Services Economic Development, which Councillor Stowe's referred to, was a good function at the Mantra, well attended by the local business community and well put together by the Economic Development Unit, and some great outcomes, one of which was Premcar gave a presentation, and Bernie Quinn, I hope I've got that right, invited me up to inspect the factory, which I did, who's producing vehicles there I think it was 8 every day, and which are modified versions of Nissan Warriors and Mitsubishi Tritons. In terms of a vehicle industry in Australia, that's probably our biggest vehicle industry, but it's also using local suppliers, which is fantastic. And I'm running out of time again. Property Council panel on education facilities, I attended the relief planting, the Eid al-Adha at Interfaith at El Surat, citizenship ceremony. This morning, the Principals' Breakfast, again with Kate O'Neill, which the area commander, which actually had some great stats on lower crime rate in our area, surprisingly. So we look forward to getting further information on that. And I've finished my time, so I'll stop there. I'll now hand over to the acting CEO to provide an update on.
Thank you, Chair. It was a pleasure spending that day with you, Chair. I'm pleased to report the upgraded intersection at Everton Drive and Sissinghurst Parade in Mernda was opened last month to vehicles, cyclists and pedestrians. The former T intersection has been converted into a 4-leg roundabout to improve safety and traffic flow, including access to the regional sports precinct once it opens. Works included new lighting, 2 raised pedestrian crossings on Everton Drive, a shared path linking Sissinghurst Parade to Stowhead Avenue, and drainage upgrades. The project was funded by the Victorian Government through the Growth Areas Infrastructure Contribution Program. The West Wollert Community Centre is tracking well for completion in 2027. The multi-purpose facility will include a kindergarten, maternal and child health services, a community hall and a mini library. Structural works are complete with internal finishings well advanced and works underway on the outdoor play area and the car park. Major building works will be finalised in the coming weeks, followed by commissioning and testing. The $16.2 million project is jointly funded by Council and the Victorian Government and will improve access to essential services for the growing West Wollert community. Works are well underway on the $9.5 million upgrade of the sporting facility at Huskisson Recreation Reserves in Laylaw. The multi-purpose facility structures framework is completed with continued work on walls, roofing and key footings. The tennis courts, the ground preparation is complete and the underground irrigation tank is in place. The car park drainage works are nearing completion alongside ongoing civil works. Works are expected to be completed in late 2026. The project is primarily funded and delivered by Council with contributions from the Victorian Government and the West Laylaw Tennis Club. Works are almost wrapped up on the shared path network along Findon Road and Ferris Boulevard. The section along the south side of Findon Road between Civic Drive and Ferris Boulevard has been completed, which is closing a gap. Works along Ferris Boulevard are advancing well, with the section to the Civic Precinct nearly finished and the remaining section to McDonald's Road on track for completion this month. The project is fully funded by the Victorian Government through the Growth Areas Infrastructure Program and will improve connectivity and safety for pedestrians and cyclists. On behalf of the City of Whittlesea, I'd like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of a City of Whittlesea staff member, Emily Foland, who recently passed away. Emily had worked at Council since 2014, contributing across a number of roles throughout the organisation, with the majority of her time spent in the environmental health team and the immunisation team. Our thoughts are with all who knew and cared for her. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I note that all these verbal reports will be documented in the minutes. Item 9 is tabled reports. There are none. And item 10 is confidential business. There's no confidential business. That now brings us to the end of the meeting, and I therefore declare the meeting formally closed at 8:53. And I would just note, congratulations, it's a big night in terms of the budget. So please, everyone, take that away. It's a fantastic result, and you've seen the publicity and others that have struggled. It's great to see Whittlesea not struggling. Thank you. Just wait. Thank you. Off air.